Good evening. The stage is set and the prize is huge. A place at the FIFA World Cup. The winner knows that they would book their place at the World Cup in France next summer. For England, expectation is huge. They're one of the best teams in the world. For Wales, they are on the edge of history. It will be the first time they've qualified for a major tournament. And it's all going to be played out here under the intimidating amphitheatre of Rodney Parade.
There is no hard border between these neighbours, but there is a huge divide between these rivals. In sport, we hold each other at arm's length and sort out our differences. Just to add a little more spice, who'll be going to the World Cup? Unbeaten Wales or unbeaten England? The question's been asked already, with no clear answer.
Let's off for England!
A draw that said, we'll see, next time. Next time is here. A showdown near the border, near but on the Welsh side. Both may yet qualify. But when Wales play England, caution is a cop-out. Unneighbourly neighbours looking to sort this out once and for all.
Well, this is the scene, a huge crowd packed into Rodney Parade, and they know just what this fixture means. Jane Ludlow's side surprised England last time out, holding them to that goalless draw at St Mary's, but they're hoping to go one better tonight, and they will need to. A win, and Wales are at their first World Cup. Defeat or a draw, and they'll have to hope for an unlikely lifeline from other results or the playoffs. Well, this England side are now ranked 4th in the world. Bronze medalists, of course, in 2015, semi-finalists at the Euros in 2017. But Philip Neville has his eyes on the bigger prize and winning the World Cup. But defeat tonight, and that could all come to an abrupt end. Well, this is how Group 1 looks. Wales out in front, but England have a game in hand against Kazakhstan on Tuesday night, so a draw would mean they just need to avoid defeat in that much to qualify. And the 4 best runners-up from 7 qualification groups will advance to the playoffs, but at the moment, that looks a precarious route for both Wales and England at this stage, ramping up the tension then even more on tonight's match. I'm delighted we're going to build up to it and watch it in the company of Wales international Nia Jones and 2 England internationals who know just what it's like to qualify for a World Cup, Alex Scott and Laura Bassett. And it is a wonderful atmosphere at Rodney Parade, and we know famously this is where teams get dumped out of the FA Cup. You know, the David and Goliath. Leeds United were dumped out this year, weren't they, of course? They held Spurs to a draw here, Newport County. Jane Ludlow's done a smart thing, hasn't she, insisting this match is played here, because she's using the ground, she's using the crowd almost as a 12th woman.
Of course, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for this group of staff and group of players, and they've had some fantastic results here, and you know, the girls will agree with me, athletes like routine, and they've got great memories of this place, especially the last result against Russia. So, you know, any tiny margin, any extra couple of inches they can get on this excellent English team, they're going to take. And
those inches also refer to the pitch, because it is the smallest legal pitch that one is allowed to have in international football. She's taken it in by a few inches there, so, you know, the wingers are going to find it a little bit tighter, Alex. But you know Philip Neville well. You know, you worked with him at the World Cup in Russia in the summer, and I'm sure he was picking your brains then about these women in this England squad, because, you know, that match in April was really at the very start of his tenure. How do you feel he's progressed and matured into this role?
Well, he knows coming in, this is his biggest test yet, because everyone's looking at this English team. They've qualified automatically the last 3 World Cups. So it's a lot of pressure on Phil, actually. Everyone's looking at him. Can he produce a win today? But he didn't give me a day off at the World Cup, Gabby. Constantly asking me about every single player, telling me if they were going to the movies, going to see what film. I was like, Phil, give them a day off. But that just shows his level of commitment, and he wants to be involved in every aspect of the girls' lives, because that helps when they come into the England environment.
And how have they, conversely, found his style then? Have they enjoyed that level of kind of personal commitment?
Yeah, they have. They really like it. It's freshness. He hasn't come in with preconceived ideas of them already from their club environment, and it's all fresh. He spent a lot of time going to WSL games, looking at all of them and saying, well, if you're playing well for your clubs, you're going to be selected for England.
Laura, of course, you know just what it's like to score against Wales in a World Cup qualifying match for England. We dug into the archives. We thought you might like a little look at, and a little trip down memory lane. A beaut it was.
One of my finest moments right there.
And of course, Wales, they employed very defensive tactics against England in April. They haven't conceded a goal in this tournament, but they need a goal tonight, so something's going to have to change, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, but I don't think too soon. I think we'll see for the similar performance, especially first half from Wales. Very tight, very compact, very deep. And then at some point, maybe second half, you know, they might come out. They need a goal. They need to take the game to England at some point. But when that'll be, we just don't know. But I think towards the second half.
Okay, well, let's hear and see what the managers are thinking about this. What kind of tactics are they going to employ? Lindsay Hooper caught up with them a short while ago.
Jane, how do you mentally manage the players when you go into a game like this with so much at stake?
Yeah, look, for us, it's the last game of what's been a fantastic qualifying campaign. So there's not much difference to what we were doing in game one, to be honest. Maybe some people wouldn't actually believe that, but right now it's about the players understanding their roles, stepping on the pitch and competing.
You've clearly gone with experience for this big encounter.
Yeah, I always think experience helps on occasions like this, because a lot of the players in there have been there and done it and played on the big occasion. They've been to World Cups, they've been to European Championships, and they've played in the biggest games for their country. So, you know, people are saying that this is a massive game. We see it as an important game on our journey, and gone with an experienced side.
How much are you hoping that home advantage plays a part tonight, especially in making history possibly?
Yeah, look, it's great. It's fantastic. We've had a run of games now at home, which for the girls it's great. You know, it's what players want to play in front of. They want to be in front of their family and friends, and they want to do well. So hopefully tonight they'll do that, and they'll make our country very proud.
What I've said to my players is just go out there and play football and enjoy themselves, because it's going to be a great occasion. I'm looking forward to it. It's why I took the job, for occasions like this. And if you can't enjoy occasions like this, then you shouldn't be a manager and you shouldn't be a player.
Thank you very much and best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, the players are getting ready to go out onto the pitch and the atmospheres are ramping up. They've played in front of bigger crowds, this England team, Alex, but they might not have played in such a partisan environment. You know, they're going to have to turn that round, aren't they, and use that positively.
They absolutely do, but look, these players have played in World Cups. If you look back at the last World Cup in Canada, playing against the home nation in front of 45,000. So these players are used to it, and this is what you want, to play in these sorts of environments, in these sorts of games.
It sends hairs on the back of your neck up, doesn't it, Nia? And, you know, and Jess Fishlock, she plays, of course, with Jodie Taylor for Seattle. They know each other well, great rivalries at club, and they will be looking to get one up on each other tonight.
Yeah, definitely, and what a matchup that is. Two absolute international superstars, and this is, like Alex said, this is why the players play.
OK, well, it's time for the talking to stop. Both teams know just what is at stake. A win for Wales or England, and it's Allez la France.
Super goal by England. And it's in! Oh, terrifically done. The most vital of goals. Oh, in style. In style.
Wales staying top of Group 1 as it stands.
The pivotal game in World Cup qualifying Group 1.
Let's take you up then to the commentary box. A bit more crowded than normal for Jonathan Pearce. Alongside him, Gwennon Harris and Sue Smith. And a very good and glorious South Wales evening to you.
Thanks very much, Gabby. Yes, good evening, everyone. It really is beautiful here on the east bank of the River Usk. Lovely sunny evening, and quite simply the biggest match in the history of Welsh women's football as the men's manager Ryan Giggs looks on. Most important game for England since the World Cup semi 3 years ago. The bronze medalists from Canada 2015 are under real pressure for the first time since then. It's winner takes all, and there's a cup final atmosphere to match that do or die feel. Here come the anthems then. Supporter amongst the many Welsh shouted, "Come on, England." Now, Hugh and year, I think it'll be, to sing Mae Hen Gwlad Fer Hadau, the Welsh national anthem, and I hope I got that right. Jess Fishlock was belting it out. Natasha Harding was in tears. Raw emotion down there. Great hunger from the Welsh. But can players be a little bit too emotional going into games when they need to have nerves of steel and cool, clear heads? The Welsh side's been very settled. 9 of the team ever present in the qualifying campaign. They're forced into one change for the win against Russia in June. Rachel Rowe injured for Reading against Manchester United in the Continental Cup. So 20-year-old Cardiff attacking midfielder Kylie Nolan comes in for her first World Cup start. The excellent Harding will again play left wing back in the continued absence of Charlie Escort. Kylie Green up front has 4 goals from her last 4. Kylie Green. England make 5 changes from their June 3-1 win in Russia. Keeper Karen Barger replacing Carly Telford, who's had a leave of absence recently after the sad death of her mum. Captain Steph Horton's back from injury, looking fitter than ever according to Phil Neville. Alex Greenwood returns from suspension. Jordan Nobbs also missed the Russian game with injury. And Jodie Taylor, fresh from a good season alongside Jess Fishlock in Seattle, is preferred to Ellen White in attack. So let's have a look at some of the key players. Glennon, we've seen there such an emotional Jess Fishlock singing the anthem.
Yeah, playing for Wales means everything to these girls, and to play in front of a record crowd here on what is Wales' biggest ever game. You know, you could see, as you said, the emotion on their faces, but can we control it? Can we just, you know, make sure that we're really steady in these first, especially 5 minutes? Big game for Laura O'Sullivan. She was outstanding in the last game against England. Hopefully, from a Welsh perspective, she can continue that form.
What about young Kylie Nolan? Big game for her?
Oh, this is a massive game for her. It's only her second ever start, and I'm sure she'll be very nervous, but she's got a lot of experienced players alongside her that'll help to steady her through.
Well, we know, Sue, having seen Jess Fishlock so many times, she'll be key for Wales. But in the heart of the England midfield, Jordan Nobbs and Jill Scott, they'll be key as well.
They will be key for England, and it's quite interesting because they've gone with 2 players that are very attack-minded in the defence. There's not a holding defensive midfielder there. Jordan Nobbs, Jill Scott both have loads of energy, box-to-box players. I think Jill Scott particularly will be important in set pieces, both defensively and going forwards.
The referee is ready. She's from Hungary, Katalin Kulshar. The pitch is beautiful, by the way, absolutely superb. It is a little bit narrower than normal, but the England players aren't bothered about that at all. They're bothered about something else. I'll tell you about that in a moment. And I think Alex was right. They played in more intimidating atmospheres like this, but we haven't got going yet, and it does look as if by now we have a record attendance for a Welsh international match in Wales. A lot of people have arrived late, and off we go then. Wales 90 minutes away from her first ever finals. A good leap by bronze for England, and she gets there again. Phil Neville's been so impressed with her in training. She started the season very well with Lyon, the big win at the weekend. He says she's very fit, very strong. One back by Nobbs. Up against her is Anhara James. Both players, of course, with an Arsenal present and past in the case of Anhara James, is an Everton player these days. Left Arsenal for Bristol a few years ago. Here's bronze. And across goes Natasha Harding to win that. And she started very expansively as a left wing back on that far side. Jill Scott has got away here from Anhara James and brings in Paris, who started very well in the game against Wales at St Mary's. Tony Duggan, who hasn't played a competitive fixture for Barcelona yet this season. Here's Alex Greenwood. It's a decent block out there. Hayley Ladd came across and got the block in. England have a game plan, and that is that they must take chances when created. And even though they work the goalkeeper hard at St Mary's, they know they missed opportunities there as well. They won't force the issue, but they will take the game to Wales. Now, I wonder What will Wales do? Do they stick in terms of the way they've been playing, or do they twist and go more attacking?
Yeah, and that's the interesting question, because I think a lot of us, and I think Laura Bassett said it in before the game as well, that she would, and I'd do the same. I'd be defensive-minded like they were in Southampton, try and keep it tight, especially this first 45, and then go for it. But from what we can see, it looks like Wales are going to go for a 4-2-3 in attack, and really push players forward, Kylie Nolan and Helen Ward to support Kaylee Green, but then sit back into a 4-5-1 like they did in Southampton when we're in defence.
Jordan Nobbs missed the Russian game away in the early weeks of the summer. It's just ahead of the Men's World Cup, that was. Steph Houghton. Jill Scott's given that away, though. It was played forward by Helen Ward, Wales' top scorer. And here now is Kaylee Green, looking for the run of young Nolan. And the shot is blocked and deflected away. Mistake there for England, Sue.
It was a mistake by Jill Scott, and Wales have started much higher than I expected them to do. They won it well back in midfield here, and then it was a real quick counter-attack, and that's what the dangerous, that's what England have to be careful of. But great recovery run from Steph Houghton.
Yeah, you could see that's where we're talking about the three in attack, where Kylie Nolan and Helen Ward were so quick to support, and first opportunity, as in the game of Southampton, falls Welsh ways.
Gwenyn Harris and Sue Smith with us in the commentary box tonight. Here's a corner kick then to Wales. It's aimed at one of the two centre-halves who were up there. Rhiannon Roberts played at right wing-back in the game at St Mary's. Got in there well, 28 years of age yesterday. And you'll know her very well. She started right wing-back again tonight. Sue, you were with her at Doncaster.
I was, yeah, and she's fantastic in the air. Again, she's dangerous both boxes, so she'll make sure that she's defensively solid when England have a set piece, but going forward, she's excellent.
Millie Bright clears it away, and England on the counter now with Jordan Nobbs looking to cover ground as quickly as they can on the counter. But look at the red shirts back there, really disciplined side under Jane Ludlow. They've yet to concede a goal in this competition so far. There's Lucy Bronze. Pops the cross in, looking for Taylor. Couldn't quite get off the ground, Jodie Taylor, who's been in decent form for Seattle Reign this summer. They finished, or they're about to finish second in their league. Back come England. Here's Duggan, looking this time for Paris, who managed to get the header away. Shouldn't have been allowed to get the header away. Sophie Ingle, much the taller defender in there.
Yeah, and you know, she's experienced. She'll be used to playing against the likes of Nikita, and her movement and Jodie's movement for that half opportunity before was fantastic as well. So they need to be aware of the cutting away to come back.
Here's Paris now. Good run for England, but a late stumble and a comfortable save. In fact, I think, Sue, Nikita Paris felt she was just clipped there. I'm not too sure whether the pitch went away from her.
Yeah, she kept going though, which is what you want to see. But it's quite interesting from an England perspective that both the wide players are staying in field, supporting Jodie Taylor up front, so Tony Duggan and Nikita Paris, and then you've got both fullbacks getting forward at every single opportunity.
I think they're going to get a lot of joy there in those areas we've seen already, and that's the big danger for Wales, is the likes of Frank Kirby, Nikita Paris, Tony Duggan picking up the ball, because they're quality players, world-class players, and they'll cause a lot of danger. So Wales have to be careful in the way of that.
This is a good run from the back by Sophie Ingle. That's again for Nolan, who's taking up some good positions. Plays at Cardiff. Nolan, but dispossessed there, and strong run by Lucy Bronson. Good refereeing, because she was being pulled back by Natasha Harding, and plays into Frank Kirby, who could be the key to the whole game. When she moves forward there, one of the Welsh back five needs to step out and marker. They did there, they just blocked her off. So here's Nobbs away then towards Alex Greenwood. Back in the side after suspension, Tony Duggan. Back to Greenwood again, gets the shot, it's deflected off the bar and in, and England have the lead. And Nikita Paris inside the first 6 minutes, and Phil Neville is dancing a dance of joy. It won't count, it's offside. It's offside.
That was a very late call, wasn't it?
Really late call, but I actually think she got it right. You can see when Alex Greenwood actually took the shot, and I said this was going to be important for England, the fullbacks getting forward. She now makes an underlapping run, great effort, hits the bar, and Nikita Paris is just offside, isn't she?
When that shot deflects off the Welsh defender, was she offside though? Look at this as a deflection.
I think we see it again.
I think she's on, you know. I really do. I think Lauren Dykes is keeping her on side. Wales have got, like England got away with one early on in the home fixture in Southampton. Wales have got away with one there.
Okay, we'll have a word with Lucy Bronze. Welsh crowd below us in the main stand here. howling that should have been a free kick for the challenge. I think she's going to be okay. It's Kaylee Green. Strong challenge by Lucy Bronze, the BBC World Footballer of the Year in the women's game. That's interesting. Sue Smith of England thought that the goal should have been disallowed, and Glennon of Wales thought the goal should have been allowed.
We're both being too nice, aren't we? We're trying to be impartial, which I'm really struggling to do most of the time.
Glennon, you don't need to be nice. I'm used to her up here. She's never nice, so don't worry about it. Here come England on the counter. And it's Greenwood, Tony Duggan. Bright, effervescent character. Nobbs out then towards Steph Horton. Big crash diagonal switch of play. Bounced, unfortunately, for Alex Greenwood. The one criticism England have had here is the fact that Welsh haven't watered the pitch. So by not watering the pitch, they've kept it slow, but they're the team with the home advantage, can do what they want.
Of course they are, and all they want to do, they want to qualify for a World Cup, so whatever they can do to their advantage, they'll do that. But England, I spoke to a couple of players before the game, they're not bothered. You know, they'll just go out and play the game, whatever the surface is. They're used to playing on different surfaces, and quality players can play on any sort of pitches.
Yeah, I agree, and look, it's the same for both sides. Wales want to win just as much as England do, so, you know, both teams have got to perform, haven't they?
Confident catch by Laura O'Sullivan. Player of the Year in 2017. What a game she had at St Mary's. Bright spirals it away for England. Jodie Taylor nearly won it back, and then it's splashed up by Sophie Ingle. Jordan Nobbs already covering a lot of ground for England in her 53rd game for her country. Good to see her back in there. I think England are always stronger when Jordan Nobbs is playing.
Definitely. She just provides, I said it earlier, just that energy in there, and she'll get back and defend, but then she'll also get forward and make things happen. She's got great awareness and great vision on the ball.
Bright, 25 last week. Really has made a name for herself in that England back four over the last 18 months or so. Made a debut against Belgium away, come on as a sub back in September 16. Here we are 2 years later, and she's, well, very much a pillar of that England defence. Good leap, and Jordan Nobbs heads it on. Comes here to Kaylee Green, who's had such a good spell for Wales. Particularly good ball. Tony Duggan whipped in with a challenge.
Yeah, just got to do the simple things right, you know, like small passes like that. They make the difference, especially when you're playing against a side that's fourth in the world and hasn't lost a qualifying game in 57 games. You know, all those little things have to be right, and they'll all add up, hopefully. Wales
unbeaten at home in 8 games since summer of 16, when I think it was Norway who won in Wales. It's ball on by Kylie Nolan. And Kaylee Green battling for it, and Hara James with a shot. And a save of the evening for Karen Bardsley, who had to step smartly to her left-hand side.
She is such an important player for Wales, Hara James. She went to the same school as Jo Allen, and I dubbed her as the female version of Jo Allen. She's that important, but what's pleasing is that she's taken that shot on with either foot. Great effort.
Bardsley back in the England goal. What do you make of that?
I think Phil Neville's actually come out and said he doesn't have a #1 keeper because of his goalkeeping situation. He's got 3 fantastic goalkeepers and Siobhan Chamberlain that's not even in the squad. So we've got we're really lucky, and he's really lucky that he's got that luxury of having quality goalkeepers that he can rotate if he needs to.
Yeah, she's gone to Wolfsburg. Has hardly played any football. 45 minutes, I think, of a pre-season friendly there. So back comes Karen Bardsley, who had such a strong World Cup 3 years ago. Had to go off in that game against Canada with the eye problem, you might remember. Here's a very good player, Natasha Harding. And just beginning to settle as the sun settles over the horizon. And then we'll bring it out here with Alex Greenwood. Tony Duggan. Family following here today. Grandad Ken, you'll probably hear him. You can hear him about a mile away.
He loves that he gets a mention every game.
Bronze with the cross, headed away by Jess Fishlock. A high lob by Jordan Nobbs. Now, when we talk about Fishlock, I don't think we're over-egging it by saying she's one of the best players in the world, let alone Europe or in Great Britain.
Oh, certainly. To have played on as many continents as she has, and as to have won as many championships and been such an integral part of those teams says everything. I don't think she gets enough credit, maybe because a bit like Giggs was with Wales, you know, she's never reached a major tournament, and I know she is desperate.
Jill Scott from range for England.
Yeah, she's desperate to get to a final. She said that would be the biggest achievement of her career.
He's got a game plan and he wants his players to stick to that game plan. He didn't think they necessarily did in the home game. He thought their attitude was a little bit, we're going to beat Wales, so we needn't necessarily work that hard at it. And when they realised they had to work hard at it because the goalkeeper was outstanding, they didn't stick to the game plan there.
Yeah, well, I just thought there were times they could have moved the ball quickly. I thought the movement up top probably could have been better. And they're just the small things that I'm sure he will have worked on all week in build-up to this game, because they are moving the ball much quicker than I thought they did against Wales.
Yeah, I agree. And I said when I was doing punditry for that game, I thought they were really slow, really laboured in the first half and made it so easy for Wales to get back and get that compact shape. So I expected them to be a bit quicker, but it's nice because the game's really open now. It's exciting.
We tried to get you on at the end of that game in St Mary's, but we didn't have time because Sue was talking too much.
Oh, there's a surprise. And I was gutted because I was so excited for that draw, and I was muted.
Nothing changed today.
No. Definitely looks, Steph Horton looks fitter, got married in the summer, had a knee operation in the summer. I think that impeded her tail ender last season.
Yeah, she had just niggly injuries that she was trying to cope with, and now she's back, she's fit, she looks good, and she feels good as well, which is the most important thing. She says she's confident, she can't wait for the season to start.
Real leader.
Yeah.
Manchester City 3 games into their season already. They lost a Champions Trophy match against Lyon, beat Paris Saint-Germain, and then beat Birmingham on penalties in the Continental Cup. James in for Wales strongly, and Bright in strongly for England, but got there late and fouled Kaylee Green. Oh! Well, she's a different way.
So that was a clear foul. Millie Bright came in late then and took her out, and Kaylee Green actually got Steph Houghton and Abby McManus in the home game carded. Yeah, that's a definite foul.
Do you know, that's going to be such a battle between those two, both strong physical players that won't pull out of challenges.
No, they're both very committed, but Kaylee will give any defender a tough evening because she'll run in behind, but she's strong, she'll hold the ball up well, and she's, as we've seen, she's an ever-willing runner.
He just joined us. 14 minutes gone. England have had the ball in the back of the net, but it was disallowed for offside. Jill Scott has forced the corner, the most experienced player out there for England with 130 caps for her country. Highest scorer in the team, joint highest scorer in the team out there as well with Tony Duggan. 21 goals for her country. She's in at the near post. Millie Bright's not netted for England.
This will be a big task for Wales because England have got such a different height advantage.
England a point behind Wales in the group. Wales really need to win. I'll explain that little while. Here comes that corner kick. Horton was in there, right trembling back, can't get it. Kaylee Green flicks it away to Jordan Nobbs, and here's Lucy Bronze, last player back, crashes it forward, and away out player goes. One thing I don't understand, Sue, she was, and we've mentioned this before in England commentaries, we'll talk about that in a minute, Lucy Bronze, why she doesn't play more of a role in set pieces, but Nikita Parris has had the ball in the back of the net. Now, as the ball is deflected off the defender, is she standing offside?
She is way onside.
Yeah, she is onside. She is, good spot.
I know, well, as attackers, we always tend to say that it's a goal, doesn't it? But I think it was quite clear there. Wales, as I said, have got away with one, just like England did in the home fixture with the was it a goal or wasn't it a goal? Well, it was clear it was a goal.
Absolutely. Now, Lucy Bronze doesn't play a main role in set pieces. We've just seen that from the corner. She was devastating in the World Cup. That's another bad ball out. This time it's by the captain, Steph Horton. And Natasha Harding was quickly onto it. And then Wales go left again. Impressed with the movement so far by Wales. Helen Ward and towards Kaylee Green. Helen Ward, such a good player as well, to play just off a main front striker.
Clever, real clever, intelligent player, looks to get on the ball, looks to make things happen, and she links up with Green so well.
And if she has a chance, she will score. She's Wales' all-time record goal scorer, male or female. She will put the ball in the back of the net when given an opportunity. Hopefully, from a Welsh perspective, one will fall her way this evening.
42 goals for her country at Hennemore. Mind you, her coach wasn't a bad player either. Over 200 goals for Arsenal. I think she's still Arsenal's record scorer. And 19 for Wales as a player.
The celebrations were very good, though.
Greenwood into the box, looking for Taylor. Jodie Taylor straight at the goalkeeper, but that's the sort of movement we've come to expect from her.
Yeah, great play from Alex Greenwood again, real strong run, and that's what Jodie Taylor wants. She wants that ball in behind so she can get on it. I just think she could have done better with that final ball. That was a cross for me, rather than having a shot in there. It was on her weaker left foot, and there was players coming in the box.
Golden Boot winner in Euro 17 in the Netherlands, of course. Here comes England's captain, Steph Houghton. 97 internationals for her, for England. Lucy Bronze, 59, very experienced bench as well. A couple of players in there. That's a header away. Handball, was it by Taylor? It was. Referee's given it. The assistant on the far side didn't flag at all. I think a good season with Seattle. She's joined up with the squad on Saturday, so she's had plenty of a build-up for this. Came back from the USA. Definite handball.
Yeah, it was a handball, wasn't it?
Yeah, she's had far more touches of the ball in this first 17 minutes than she had in the entire game down in Southampton, and shows you can see that Phil Neville's been working on the movement, you know, with the forward players, because a lot of them have had a lot more opportunities in difficult areas for Wales to pick up.
Just over 5,000 in the ground. That is confirmed. Then it's a new attendance record for a Wales women's home fixture. Ground holds 7,850. Newport County had a few more than that. They've given permission to put in temporary seating for the game against Spurs in the Cup last season when the pitch was heavily criticised. They played a lot of rugby on it with the Dragons and Newport County as well up to then. Tonight's pitch is super. It's not been a great performance by that assistant so far, I have to say. But the pitch, no one can complain about the pitch. Absolutely fine. Apart from one thing the England players have found a little bit baffling. When they trained here last night, Phil Neville was telling us, because there's the runoff area for the rugby behind each goal, and the advertising hoardings are around about, the goal to the right-hand side, for example, about 20 yards behind that dead ball line. The players couldn't get their bearings when they were making runs to get crosses, and they kept running the ball out of play.
You can see that would be quite confusing. Even the double lines on the width, we were sort of saying that would put you off slightly as a player.
Would it have put you off as a flying winger?
No, it was too skillful for that.
In then towards Frank Kirby, but cleared away. Good clearance away by Sophie Ingle. Might have been a foul by Paris. Play on.
Yeah, they're not giving these fouls easily, are they? Which is great, because it's obviously the game is a lot more open.
Well, the pace has been unbelievable, hasn't it?
The intensity from both sides. You just wonder how long they can keep this up.
Yeah, that's the worry for Wales. We haven't quite got the depth. You know, we've seen in Southampton, Jane Lillo didn't make a substitution. Can we keep this intensity going for 90 minutes? Because especially for those two forward players, it's a lot to ask.
His team could do with a draw. They play Kazakhstan, don't forget, he's not happy with it. But they go to Kazakhstan, who are bottom of the group on Tuesday. 20 minutes gone here, 0-0. Welsh victory would take them to their first ever finals. An English win would clinch the group with a game to spare, but a draw I think would be enough for them, because at the moment they're top of a separate group of the second place teams on points. That is judged by performances against your top four rivals, not the fifth team in a group. And at the moment England have more points than anyone else who are in second place positions at the moment. Wales, should they finish second, aren't in the same boat. They might struggle, so really Wales need to win. There are a lot of other teams who have more points against those top four opponents than Wales.
Yeah, it's been so competitive. You know, to see the likes of Germany playing in second position at the moment, you know, given their history, it just shows how difficult it is. And Sue and I were talking about this before, to qualify out of the European area. You know, it's really, really tough. And there's so many good teams lying in second position that could miss out.
I suppose it shows the progression of women's football as well.
Germany go to Iceland, who were 1 point clear of them in their last game. Iceland have the Czech Republic as well.
There's actually a Welsh representative there in that game. So Cheryl Foster, who used to play for Wales, she's fourth official for that game tomorrow evening out in Iceland.
She's okay. And Hannah James is okay. She's back up. She'll be fine. She was a feisty individual as a player, wasn't she, Jane Ludlow?
She really was.
Didn't take prisoners.
We were actually talking to her before the game and asking, is it different being a manager? Do you have the same sort of feelings? Are you as nervous? And she said there's similar sort of feelings, but she has to learn how to deal with her emotions, because on the field, she was certainly competitive.
Do you know, I can remember a game, I was talking to Sue about this before, where Jess Fishlock and I were playing for Cardiff against Arsenal, and Jess nutmegged Jane. And this was before she was in the senior squad, and Jane turned around and actually gripped her by the neck. She was that annoyed, that aggressive, that passionate. So Jess and I, when we went into the Wales squad for the first time, we were petrified of Jane.
Well, next time I fuss her for team news and a possible lineup, I'm going to think twice about it, I think.
Yeah, well, thankfully she's calmed down a lot as a manager.
Really?
But it's just her passion, I think. She's
frightens me.
Well, you weren't in a changing room with her, honestly. But yeah, it's just her passion coming through. She's so passionate about Welsh football and developing it. And actually, there's a stat come out today that there's been a 17% increase in the number of girls playing football over this last year, which is going to show, the effect that she's had over the structure and that these girls are having on youngsters in the country, which is brilliant.
It's Greenwood now for England on the left-hand side, just past the midway mark in the half. That's a high swirler, Laura O'Sullivan. Equal to it. 7 games played so far in the competition, 7 clean sheets. Was a defender up until 2014, I think it was. Here's Duggan. Nearly managed to get beyond Rhiannon Roberts, who's just changed clubs, gone to Liverpool to replace Ingle, who's moved on to Chelsea. Greenwood to Millie Bright of Chelsea. And here's Steph Horton. Pinged it in, looking for Taylor, just too far through. A little bit of a slip. She does. I mean, she had to get that. Obviously, Jodie Taylor was in there, but she's a goalkeeper who comes for everything, and that means she might spill something. England might profit from that, even though she was so superb in the first game.
Yeah, you can see her confidence is very high, but she has to be just a little bit aware, maybe trust her defenders a bit more, make sure the communication is good, because there were a couple of occasions actually against Bosnia at home where in the last couple of minutes of the game we nearly conceded due to great tackle.
Brilliant tackle on Kirby to deny England the chance.
Fran Kirby's doing well, though, picking the ball up in between the midfield and the defence, but I just think she can move it a little bit quicker, so she's running with the ball, but because Wales they're doubling up, they know that she's the key player. Can you give it? So you've took that touch, can you give it? But fantastic recovery from Jess Fishlock.
I think it's quite difficult for them because the wide players are really narrow, so it's not giving her as much options as maybe you'd expect to see them. They're normally hugging the touchline, aren't they? So maybe she's just struggling to adapt to that at the moment.
Walton got it away for England up towards Jodie Taylor, preferred to Ellen White, who would be absolutely gutted not to be involved. She's that sort of player, so passionate about playing for England. She is here tonight. Here's Fishlock looking for the ball over the top and seen all the way by Bardsley, who comes to gather. Lost her place after the She Believes. Hasn't played the last 3 games. And as Sue was saying, she's no longer the guaranteed number 1. Phil Neville doesn't have one. Millie Bright now to Greenwood. Just perhaps a sense that England is settling into a rhythm, but Wales have, again, look at the shape of them. A 5, a 4, no way through.
Yeah, limiting the gaps for the likes of Frank Kirby, in between the units, and limiting the gaps for them to get into, because we know how dangerous they are.
By Hannah James. Lucy Bronze hammering forward. Phil Neville said she's come into this season as a real monster. He means that in terms of her physical capabilities, her hunger, her desire, her drive there. And it was a bit of a rudimentary challenge by Hannah James, who got squared up against the runner. And when you do that, there's very little else you can do apart from foul the player.
She is a bit of a freak athlete, Lucy Bronze. She's just phenomenal. I remember when I played with her at Everton, and she was struggling with injuries, but she'd still be fitter than half of the, maybe not Jill, Jill's very fit, but she's fitter than half the squad.
She's not involved in this set piece. She's the last player back for England as Greenwood and Duggan with a hand raised stand over this. Paris is on the far side of the penalty area, so too the centre-backs Bright and Horton. Scott's in the D. Jodie Taylor ready to pounce on the second ball in the box. She'll make a run peeling away from Fishlock as it comes in towards the far post area. Bright got up well. They'll come away here to Jordan Nobbs, who hits it. Goal kick.
I'm really surprised to see Kylie Nolan, probably Wales' smallest player, picking up England's tallest player in Jill Scott. I think that's something Wales definitely need to address at half-time, because we know Jill can score. We've seen her scoring in recent games in this qualifying campaign, so that's something that they're going to have to sort out at half-time.
Great effort from Jordan Nobbs here, and I just think how impressive is it from a Welsh defensive perspective. They're literally throwing their body on the line, and I think that put Jordan Nobbs off, because we've seen her score goals from that position before, and they know that.
Scored a long-range winner on her debut against Italy in the Cyprus Cup back in 2013. Jordan Nobbs could score more. Only got the 6 for England. She was on the shortlist for the Football Writers' Footballer of the Year last season, won by Fran Kirby, who gave a very eloquent speech at the awards night. Here's Lucy Bronze looking over the top then for the run of Jodie Taylor. Straight ball up to a diagonal run, but it was over here.
You see what England are trying to do, though. They are trying to switch the ball from one side to the other as quickly as possible. They've got players that can do that. Millie Bright and Steph Houghton can both do that, but it's just about getting that pass right.
Now, Sue Smith, you know me well. Look at what I've written down here. These are the
That's your shopping list, isn't it?
Well, no, it's the explanation of the second place. Should I read that out to the viewers, or what? Do you think? No. So all that work I've done then is totally wasted. It took me 4 days. You can't come again. It's going to be a throw. Lucy Bronze will take it on the right-hand side. It is indeed a sad life, the life of a football commentator. Up goes Jill Scott to head it on. Taylor's got in behind Ingle here. Paris follows up. No pace on the shot. Easy once again for O'Sullivan. Just once or twice, Sue, though. Akita Paris has been involved with that disallowed goal, of course.
Yeah, and she's so dangerous, and you can see she's just playing off Jodie Taylor. I think she got in Jodie Taylor's way there, or they both got in each other's way.
Free kick to Wales. As Brennan was saying, England unbeaten in 57 qualifying matches since a 1-0 away playoff final, second leg defeat against France in Saint-Etienne in November 2002. 48 wins and 9 draws. England 4th in the world. Wales up to a highest ever world ranking of 29th. But on paper, England the favourites, and Wales here once again are proving what a daunting opposition they are in this World Cup campaign. Then comes a free kick forward by Ingle. It'll drop to James. It'll toe poke to Green. Now here's Harding, was always going to go down the side, and Paris read it and went with her for pace and gets it away. Ingle, Taylor comes across. It's an England throw.
Just pleasing from a Welsh perspective. I know a lot of people have said how negative, you know, and how much we were defending in that first leg. But you know, Jane has changed it about and has shown a real attempt to get those players forward, and that's why we've seen a far more open game.
I remember Vic Akers, wonderful Arsenal servant, and really the father of Arsenal's women football, once describing Jane Ludlow as the best box-to-box player in the women's game. I bumped into Vic the other day outside Arsenal. I just wish the game could find a role for people like that who have so much knowledge. He should still be in the game, retired from his roles at Arsenal last season.
I totally agree. What a legend of the women's game. Done so much.
Wales have now gone 11 hours without conceding a goal in World Cup qualifying. That is a stupendous record. And it just shows the work that Jane Ludlow has been doing. And the whole, Gwennon, the whole of the Welsh FA have really developed this game now at all levels. You're involved yourself, of course, over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, the rise of the game in Wales has been phenomenal, and we've seen that with the fans. Only there's so many youngsters out here before the game, but to have a record 11 hours, I think it's only Wales and the Netherlands that haven't conceded in this campaign against 2 teams in a group with 2 teams that have been in the European Championship finals, is testament to the hard work that these girls do on the training pitch and the tactics of Jane, because they defend from the front as well. It's not just about the back 5. The back 6 with the goalie.
Well, Bronze, there was a touch there that was too heavy, and the shot that was easily dealt with by Bartley, but just for a minute there, England might have worried because Kaylee Green, who laid the ball off, was swept away in the challenges that Nolan went to get the shot.
They look a bit nervy at the back, I think, England. That's the third time maybe they've given away possession, and it's led to an opportunity for Wales.
I just wonder if they haven't expected Wales to press so high and with such intensity as well. And it is slightly off-putting if you've worked on a team sitting back and then suddenly they do come out at you.
Here comes Bronze. This is a great run. Nolan's gone there with a good challenge. Well played by the youngster. And it goes off the 20-year-old from Cardiff and away for a corner kick for England.
And look at that, Helen Waters just had an attempt, as we're seeing at the far end. I think she would have liked to have got under it a little bit more. And then she's back, you know, in her own box, clearing, blocking a cross. Just shows the work ethic and this team spirit. These girls will fight for each other.
Never reached a major finals, Wales. They were 8th in the Cyprus Cup in the first few weeks of the season. That sort of positioned them in European football. They played so much better than that in this qualifying campaign, though, as Derby edges it off and the cross from Greenwood is blocked by Harding. Bronze thought about getting it in first time, then chips forward for Kirby. It's deflected away, is it? Yes, it is. Natasha Harding is blowing a little bit. She's, what, 29 years of age now, in her 71st international. Shows a versatility that she can play in both wing-back positions. Oh, Scott's got in behind here, tried to find Jodie Taylor. It's a brilliant intervention for Wales and a great clearance away. Hayley Ladd, I think it was, who got it away. But a great reading of the game in there.
What a lovely bit of skill from Jill Scott, though. And she's known for her energy, her box-to-box runs. But I tell you what, this is a lovely little nutmegs. Absolutely class. And then she doesn't just give the ball away, she's looking up for Jodie Taylor, but really well read and really well intercepted.
Just an arm comes back here and catches Sophie Ingle. What do you make of that, Gwennon?
No, Jill is quite tall, she's quite gangly, isn't it? Her arms go everywhere. But no, I just think that was a great piece of skill, and she doesn't get enough credit, to be honest, for her footballing ability. Everyone thinks she's just a pure athlete and a box-to-box midfielder. She's got great feet.
Duggan down the left-hand side, couldn't get there. Towards Kaylee Green. Now James down the line, Black comes across. Green rather jumped at the England defender, but no free kick given. It's a physical encounter, Sue, isn't it? And the referee is allowing a lot to go on.
It really isn't, and I think we expected it to be like that. You know, we expected it to be fiery. You can hear the atmosphere, and it's, you know, these players are responding to it, which is great. It makes a fantastic game to watch.
Yeah, you just see Angharad James there, you know, roaring on the crowd, and they really are the Red Wall. They've been outstanding this whole campaign. They were brilliant down in Southampton, and the numbers increasing and the sound's increasing, which is great for these Welsh players, because we've never experienced that at home before.
Fishlock now for Wales. James around the corner. A little touch on by Green, and that's easily for Karen Barsley to pick up. Now, to be honest with you, 20 minutes before kickoff, we're hearing intimidating, we're hearing tight and atmospheric and daunting. There weren't people in the ground. Now, you can understand what people were talking about, because it is a raucous atmosphere. I wouldn't say necessarily intimidating, but it is very atmospheric.
Well, the Welsh are good singers, aren't they? And you can hear that now.
Pause for effect. England have possession with the Greenwood on the left-hand side. Greenwood left-footed into the edge of the box, looking for Taylor. Taylor, ooh, playing for it. Don't think that was a penalty. She's playing for it, and just decent defending.
It wasn't. She just took a big touch out of her feet. Knew she wasn't going to get onto the ball and went down.
Well, Neville, coach for England for the 7th game. He's won 3 of his previous 6. Has a change there on the bench as well now. Bev Priestman's there alongside him as his number 2. Now, Barty's got to come out here. Penalty Wales, is it? No, goal kick. Well, we've had one at either end, and the referee didn't know, and she looked away to her assistant on this near side. Jane Ledlow looks on with a wry smile, but I think the Czech assistant here says no penalty.
I think Karen Barsley gets a hand to it. I think that's a great decision from Karen Barsley to come out and win that. Kaylee Green, yeah, you can see there, she gets a hand to it.
That's a really important touch as well. Credit to Karen Barsley there, because it's difficult for goalkeepers in that situation, because any small touch
Got the crowd going now, though, and Wales are on top here. Green with a shot that bubbles wide. Good, I'll tell you, it's good communication between the Hungarian referee and the Czech assistant, Lucy Ratajova, because the referee didn't know. She looked at her assistant, and the assistant hasn't signalled penalty.
Yeah, you can see here, and I'm so impressed with Kaylee Green because her work rate is phenomenal. She closes down from the front, she makes those runs in behind and just makes it difficult for defenders, but fantastic from Karen Barsley there.
Yeah, let's not forget, she started her career as a centre-half as well, so she's had to learn her trade as a centre-forward, and she's done it phenomenally well. You know, that's the reason that a manager in the quality of Hope Powell has taken her to Brighton as a centre-forward.
She's there at Brighton this season where she's played couple of games. They lost away at Chelsea in the Continental Cup and then drew at Tottenham, lost on penalties. Spurs get the extra point, so she didn't take a penalty in the shootout. Here's Kirby, who's got a couple from the penalty in this campaign for England. And here's Duggan now. Fishlock's come across to guard. Duggan forced back, Fishlock doubling up there with Roberts. And England have it with Duggan again. Cross looking for Scott in the middle, it's a good ball in. And a calm claim from the goalkeeper, which is exactly what you want in there.
She's just commanding, she comes out, she sees the danger, and you can see what Tony Duggan's doing. Jill Scott's in there, Nikita Paris is coming in round the back. That's what you want from your goalkeeper. Come out, command, take the ball, we move on.
And she's another one that actually started her career as a different place. She was a defender, you know, so to learn a trade as a goalkeeper is very difficult to do, and she's actually still quite relatively new to it. And you know, goalkeepers tend to be better in the latter stages of their career when they're more experienced. So she's been fantastic this campaign.
She's 27. She's new to the game. She only started playing football in 2011. She's only been a goalkeeper for 4 years. Thought about coming for that there. Didn't come. She's in. Oh, no man's land. Chance for England here. Now that's what I was talking about earlier. She will try and come for everything, and she got caught then in two minds, and that's nearly perilous for Wales.
Yeah, I'm unsure. Yeah, I'm not sure if she's maybe obstructed, but as we said before, you know, just needs to be better communication there. You know, I think someone's trying to play a pass back to her when she's 2 yards away from her. Just need to compose ourselves a little bit. Maybe with having the crowd here doesn't help in that sense. You know, we're getting very excited, and we just need to just take a second, compose ourselves, and just communicate better.
Smiling now, Jane Ludlow. She's loving this. She said she would. Hasn't she done well? Kylie Nolan in her 6th appearance, 2 years on from her debut.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with her. To come into a game of this magnitude, this occasion, she has been brilliant. You know, she's defended well, she's worked really hard, and she's been good in possession as well. She hasn't given the ball away on many occasions, and she's created a couple of chances. She's had the first shot on goal as well at the beginning of the game.
Corner ball here for Wales. Alex Greenwood thought she could have kept it in. Not twice about arguing though. She was sent off in Bosnia for 2 good bookables inside 2 or 3 minutes. Corner kick to be taken by Sophie Ingle. Turns 27 on Sunday, the Welsh captain. Swings it away towards that far post. It's loose. Bright will have to get it away, and does so. Taylor didn't hold it up, not really been in the game for England. And you wonder whether this would have been a better occasion for Ellen White up there, as it's cleared away by Steph Horton and Fishlock with a covering header. What do you think about that suggestion, Sue?
Well, I think Ellen White is a player that will come to feet, will bring in players. But Jodie Taylor's got the ability to do that as well, probably just not her strength. Her strength is to run in behind.
Here's Paris arriving late, scuffed the shot. Opportunity that for England, and Ingle gets it away. Bright's underneath that though, with the header down to Jordan Nobbs. Bit of a stumbly-bumbly bit of control by the Arsenal. I was going to say veteran. She's played so many times for Arsenal, Jordan Nobbs. 200 times, but she's 25. Barely a veteran. They're all kids to me too, to be honest. Even you, and you're 52. Now here's Greenwood down that left-hand side. All the keepers missed that one, and Duggan couldn't quite make her pay. Maybe Lucy Bronze will. Back to Duggan. Cleverly kept him back on side, and comes across, and it's headed away at the far stick area by Roberts, and back come England again with a cross from Greenwood, moving that Welsh defence away. Ingle couldn't get it away. Here comes Jill Scott to square it to Paris, but Jill Scott couldn't get the ball away because two Welsh players threw their bodies on the line for the country.
Yeah, and we've seen that in every single game in the campaign. You know, they will put everything on the line, but I'm just slightly concerned with Jill's presence. I think it's causing a little bit of a nuisance for the Welsh defence because they're not sure, because she's coming into the box late, they're not sure on who's picking her up, and that's why we've seen Wales probably at their least organised in the last 10 minutes in the box because they're unsure on her presence.
Steph Horton did Gwennon did brilliantly there for England. She managed to win it and then play it back to Bright. Here's Paris. Paris, tricky run, free kick England. Just a nit on her centre down. And when you're running at pace like that, a nudge will send you over. It's the free kick conceded by Hayley Ladd.
That's what England need to do, though. Isolate those defenders 1v1, because both Nikita Parris and Tony Duggan have got the beating of a defender 1v1. Tricky, quick, can get themselves into the box.
Yeah, and they've got more room this game, haven't they? We've seen in the away leg in Southampton, you know, the back five, once they were past maybe the full back, that central defender was coming across, whereas because this game is more open, they're having more opportunities if they can get, those white players can get the ball.
Jill Scott, 2 goals she scored in Russia, and she's trying to create havoc in there again. And with this free kick 2.5 minutes before the break, Greenwood stands to the right of the ball. Duggan who plays it in around that wall. Keeper had to go down low, and that's a smart save because you might have seen it late. Good effort though by England.
Yeah, I think it was too close to the keeper. You know, you could see what she was trying to do. Was she trying to just? I think she was aiming for the players coming in. I think it was too close to the goalkeeper. She actually put her hands up afterwards, Tony Duggan, to apologise.
See, I think that's quite a good ball, and where your centre forwards running across, you know, to the front post. Mo Marley at Everton would have been killing me if I wasn't doing that.
Mo Marley, of course, was involved with England in the interim period between the managers. Back with the younger group now. It's going to be well throwing down the right-hand side. The hills in the background, top of the valleys, and away towards where are the Brecon Beacons, away further to the right, aren't they, and into the distance perhaps. That's geography O-level for you.
Yeah, you were spot on there, nearly.
I did a geography field trip at Brecon Beacons. It was wet, but we nipped off and went to a pub.
That doesn't surprise me.
Oh, there's some good country pubs down there as well.
Right. She's never looked for us, you know. They're not bothered. They turned up in the end.
They're probably in another pub themselves.
Probably will. Here's Scott. Chip ball away. Scott's hit a fish lock. Challenge is honoured by Jordan Nobbs. And Bronze. Nobbs again. Quickly work forward again. This has been a feature of Wales, getting the ball up early. It was James into Harding. Now this is always a winning runner up front for Wales. Kaylee Green out by Greenwood. Talented Fishlock. Not a good ball from her though, and a poor challenge by Duggan. Jill Scott did her best to win it back, so did Millie, but that's a good old duel that. Brighton Harding who flicks it on there. There's a measure of how Wales have opened up tonight in comparison with other games, Gunnan, because there's your left wing back popping up on the edge of the penalty area.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we were saying earlier on, is that when they're in attack, they definitely want to push the 3 forward.
Oh, that's unbelievable. Half-time's come. That's flashed by, Sue. That has flashed by.
And I suppose that just shows how entertaining the game's been, because it has gone so quickly. I think England will be, they know that when they move the ball quickly, they need to do it with a little bit more quality, but I think we have to praise Wales and give them credit, because they've been closing England down so well, 1 and 2 players stopping them from playing.
He'll look at the replay and believe the disallowed goal should have been given, but at half-time, it's Wales 0, England 0.
So England, as it stands, things suit England better because, of course, they know they have that match in Kazakhstan to change things. A draw, of course, would mean Wales would have to rely on results elsewhere, and it's really quite an unrealistic route for them to expect a second-place playoff space. Goalless, just as it was, though, after 90 minutes at St Mary's in April, of course, and there is... Obviously for England, though, great hope in the next 45 minutes or so. And Nia, for Wales, though, that was really a much more open, a much more expansive performance than we saw at St Mary's.
Yeah, definitely, and like we expected, they're 5-4-1 when they're on defence. But actually, although they're being quite defensive, they're pressing so hard. Once England cross a certain part of the pitch, they're pressing in numbers. Helen Ward has been back helping Natasha Harding in wide areas. They're going 2-on-1, and the likes of Nikita Paris and Tony Duggan in the wide areas have found it difficult so far. And yeah, credit to Wales, they've had more chances than I think England would have expected as well.
And perhaps there was the expectation that if Wales did open up a bit, that would really suit England, and that they would then be able to get their attacking players forward. They just, that final pass, that final weighted shot, it's just not been enough really for Laura O'Sullivan to be troubled so far.
And exactly the same from the first game at St Mary's down in Southampton. England created, 22 chances in that game, but when you look back at that, did they really test the goalkeeper? No, and it's been the same again. They need to kind of be more direct and be more clinical in front of goal.
Laura, what did you make of that performance from England there?
I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest. I don't think the psychology part of the game, I don't think we managed our emotions. I think the crowd have been absolutely exceptional. And I think those big moments, the mistakes that we've made, I think we've invited pressure onto ourselves unnecessarily. And I think there's some key moments in there where our emotions are getting the better of us. And for the second half, I definitely think our emotional control our leaders need to step up and need to control the big moments so that we can get momentum and go to Wales with some quality.
Well, early on, it looked like England were going to be in control of that first half. A disallowed goal, which, if we have a little look, I think even Nia would concede. Well, you said, Nia, it's 1-1 after that first game when the disallowed goal for Wales, or the goal that wasn't for Wales. But Alex, no doubt that this was a bad decision.
Yeah, straight off the crossbar, and you can see from Nikita Paris, maybe from this angle, gets cut back to Alex Greenwood, who's been busy in the first half. But Nikita Paris here is clearly onside, waiting like all good attacking players should do. If it drops to me, I'm there. And she is, and it's a bad decision.
No argument with that. Obviously, the manager thought it was a goal and had to mute his celebrations, Phil Neville, after a couple of seconds realisation. It happens to the best of them. But Nia, you had no problems really with conceding that it was a goal.
It was a goal, and I'm very relieved that the assistant referee got it wrong on that occasion. But, you know, that's football, and as Alex said, England have had more than enough of the ball, more than enough chances to do better than they have at this point, and Wales will be really pleased. And Kaylee Green has been making those dangerous runs. If it wasn't for Karen Barty with that vital touch in the penalty area, it could have been a little bit different.
Well, let's have a little look, actually, at the potential penalty decision. A 50-50, would you say, Alex?
I'm not sure. As we see here, Karen Bartley comes out right here, but I would say she got her hand to the ball.
The thing for me, I think Steph Horton and Millie Bright fell asleep a little bit. There was a miscommunication. So, you know, Kaylee Green's pace up top is a threat. And like Gwen and Harris said in commentary, she's a centre-half, learning her trades as a centre-forward. But one thing she will do is she'll run all day. Lost causes, she will chase them all down. And that was a little scare for England.
It was a little scare for England, Laura, there. I think the wake-up call, perhaps.
Yeah, it was. And I was disappointed with our defence, our kind of casual, that KB was going to come out and collect it. There's going to be concentration moments in the game, and especially second half. But I definitely feel that KB got a solid hand to that, and that's routine for KB. She's a top quality goalkeeper, and she'll be pleased with that. I think that'll improve her concentration levels for the second half.
And Nia talked there, Alex, about sloppy moments for England, and there were some of England's big name players, some of those players, those stalwarts of this team, who just really had moments where the pass wasn't weighted right, they were a little bit sloppy, not clearing their lines.
And then every time England are giving sloppy balls away like this, you're giving Wales more momentum, more belief that they can get into this game. And as the half went on, they were showing more and more belief. And Bass already alluded to that she feels a bit kind of disappointed from the England performances, because this is silly mistakes and you're allowing Wales to get that belief and get into the game. And this is not what we're used to from seeing from this England team, ranked 4th in the world. Play this ball, Steph Houghton, make sure it gets there, but you're allowing the Wales players to come onto the game, into the game and grow in belief. And they will go into this changing room at half-time believing that they can come out and get a goal in the second half.
Definitely. I think if Wales get numbers higher up the pitch, it looks like, especially the trend in the first half, it looks like they can force England, some of the English defenders into a mistake, and you just don't want to. That's unnecessary pressure that you want to invite.
The only thing that concerns me is the work rate from the Wales players so far in this half has been outstanding. You know, they're making the pitch really small and suffocated when they're on defence, but then as soon as they win the ball back, their tactic is, you know, can we hit it over the top and get those runners running forward? And, you know, these guys will agree that's really, really tough to maintain for 90 minutes, and we haven't got the experience on the bench that England have.
Yeah, Ludlow didn't make any changes to St Mary's Stadium, and if you're going to play that kind of intensity, you'd expect players perhaps around 70 minutes, 75 minutes to be looking at players on the bench.
But you have to give this Welsh team credit. I think this first half, they've done really well. And when you look at the spine of the team, from the goalkeeper to Sophie Ingalls having a great half, to Jess Fishlock as well, they're just playing with real intent and real passion, like they would do, because a World Cup place is on the line. And they're showing that they've got more about them than this English team at the moment.
You would expect that, Laura. You would expect them to be performing in front of this record crowd for Welsh women's football here in Wales, and that is, you know, an understandable. Their goal is there. It's dangling a World Cup place. Do you think England, at the back of their mind, have got that kind of feeling that, well, we can go to Kazakhstan on Tuesday if it ends up being a draw tonight?
Maybe that is a fact, isn't it? That's a fact, and that's how the situation lies. But you know, for me, from an England point of view, I'm really looking for a player, whoever it is, to really grasp this game by the scruff of the neck and make a difference. Who's going to make a moment? Is it going to be Fran Kirby? Is it going to be Millie, Steph, or Jill Scott winning a crunching tackles? Who's going to change the momentum and the tempo to this game? We really need to, because we've got some excellent world-class players.
Laura Sullivan took out an amazing player of the match performance against England in Southampton. And again tonight, you know, she showed that although she may be fairly new to this game, she's had a fantastic night. This wasn't her best moment, though. This was a moment where you felt England should have capitalised, Nia.
Yeah, I was on tenterhooks up watching that moment there. But as you say, you know, England have had enough of the ball, they've had enough shots to be testing Laura O'Sullivan a little bit better than they have done already. Alex has said they're getting shots off, but then there's nothing with real venom or real craft behind it, so that's something I'm sure they want to improve on second half.
No, we're talking about leaders, but actually in that England dressing room at the moment, it's about being patient as well, because it's the Welsh team that need to come and win this game. Yes, England would like to come here and get a win and qualify automatically, but they're not the team that actually need to panic at the moment. So they'll have their time in the second half. They can stay in there and be like, OK, we are actually moving the ball quicker. We need to be more clinical, but our moments will come, but we don't need to panic just yet.
OK, well, I imagine this may well have whetted your appetite somewhat for the WSL. You don't have long to wait.
Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for. You've been searching in the dark, your sweat soaking through the floor, taking your breath, stealing your mind, and all that was real is left behind.
Restructured, reformed, new teams, new players. It's all kicking off on Sunday, the 9th of September. You can see the Women's Football Show on BBC One, and earlier in the day on the red button, Arsenal against Liverpool at 12:25. It does feel, I mean, I know they're in the Championship, Manchester United, and players have moved around. There's some, you know, structurally it's changed. It feels very exciting this season, Alex. It feels like that, you know, it's stepped up again another level into professionalism.
Yeah, and it will be the most competitive Women's Super League that we've seen yet, with the likes of West Ham coming into the league, Brighton and Hope Powell doing really good with her recruitment, and that's what you want for the women's game. When you've got nights like this, the crowd, the atmosphere, the women's game is growing, and it's great.
And of course, changing slightly the time of the year as well, and the position of where the matches are in the calendar. Do you think that's all going to help in the long run, Laura?
Yeah, I do, and I think after last year, I think people are used to that now. So the awareness is there, the visibility. So the crowd are really looking forward to where the fixtures are, and it's more.
They know it's aligned,
yeah, exactly.
And obviously they can make their decision which day they go and see which of their teams, hopefully as well. Well, of course, Scotland were in action last night, and they had high hopes of keeping qualification in their hands. Plenty of WSL players lining up for Scotland in their match against Switzerland.
Kim Little picks up on the edge of the penalty area, trying to work the room. Here's Erin Cuthbert on the edge of the penalty area. Oh, Erin Cuthbert, what a start for Scotland! The Scots have one of the 2 goals they need, and it's come inside the opening 2 minutes. Plays it short for Evans, gets it back to Kim Little inside the penalty area, twisting and turning, gets the shot away. It's taken a deflection, and Scotland are 2 up, would you believe? 5 minutes in, and Kim Little has pushed Scotland further ahead. This looks dangerous. Can Scotland defend it? Shots comes in, and Dickerman has pulled one back for Switzerland. Well, Scotland weren't alert to the danger down the left-hand side, and when it was pulled back to the Swiss captain, there she was.
Scotland went into the match, of course, knowing they needed a victory by 2 clear goals, so it was bittersweet, really. A fantastic 2-1 win, but not enough for them to sit outright top of the group. And they, of course, will be playing on Tuesday against, working out when September the 4th was, then Tuesday against Albania, and they've got also in a very, very good position, Alex, in terms of the second position qualifiers.
Yeah, and they had a taste of their first international tournament at the Euros a couple of years ago, so they will be doing all they can. The players like Kim Little, who's struggled well, she come back from her ACL, she will want to do everything she can to be on that platform at a World Cup, because she hasn't been at one yet.
It's not just about the WSL players, of course, for Scotland, though, but what is clear, and you know, it was said in commentary about the growth in the interest in young players in Wales because of the success of this side, Ludlow's side, going through this qualification. For Scotland, getting into a World Cup finals, again, it just brings, doesn't it, more young players into the game.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think occasions like this and the exposure is what makes players better. Everybody wants to be playing in occasions like this, and Scotland are very similar to Wales, and, you know, they haven't been to that many major tournaments. As Alex said, they only qualified for one in the past. So, you know, for that growth in Scotland, I'm sure they're going to be having everything crossed that they manage to secure a playoff place.
We have plenty of football coming up for you on the BBC over the next couple of days. Starting with Football Focus, and that, of course, is tomorrow at midday, and it features a very special England star, Dele Alli. Final scores at 2:30. Match of the day at 10:20 with Keown and Shearer, and the NFL show 11:45 is back on BBC One. So the second half, you said England went in there, Alex, thinking they're going to have places that they could do better, where areas where they're going to tighten up. They're going to have to do better in that second half. Do you see tactically Phil Neville making any changes, though, overall?
Well, when you look at the bench, I'm actually surprised Ellen White's not on the bench, not even in the squad. You look at that, what, he can bring on Beth Mead to make a change. But they do. I want to see more hunger from this English team and be more direct.
Hear that roar, Nia, with the Welsh players are behind us there. Jane Ledlow was coming in there just behind us, and the crowd going, well, they know they are 1 goal away from a World Cup finals.
This crowd is cheering every throw-in, every free kick that Wales gets tonight, and honestly, I believe if they keep putting the ball in behind, this England back four is not used to defending. No defender at the top level likes running back towards their own goal. Keep doing it, keep committing players forward. I'm sure they can get a goal in the second half.
Wales stand on the edge of history. England know a goal will take them to France.
Well, thanks very much. Up here, we're just above those bopping fans down below us, and I can tell you the atmosphere is feverish. I can also tell you England were out at least a minute and a half before the Welsh players came out. They went through a little warm-up, then they went into a huddle. What significance that will prove, we'll wait and see in a couple of moments' time. Maybe nothing at all, but I don't think he's a happy man. I don't think they have stuck to their game plan of being a little bit more direct when they have a chance at goal, taking the opportunities, moving the ball quicker. And off we go in the second half. England then, of course, in the whites and navy blue, and Wales all in red. Top of the group with 17 points by a point. England's goal difference is vastly superior. But the key is they have one game left to play. Wales don't. England go to bottom of the group Kazakhstan on Tuesday. And they have an early free kick here right at the start of the second half.
Positive start from Alex Greenwood there on the front foot, driving at the defence, and she does get a clip. But that's Alex Greenwood, I think, has been probably England's best player out there. She's been the one that's been looking to get on the ball, looking to make things happen. Need more of that.
It's a free kick for England on this lovely pitch. It'll have 63 games on it this season. Newport County have played the one, and then Newport Rugby and the Dragons as well. It's going to be a free kick that England will take. Curling in towards the run of Scott. The keeper's come and missed it, but there was no one there to pick up the loose pieces. It wasn't good goalkeeping from the start of the first game between the two sides down at St Mary's. She came, and to be frank, Gwennon, she got absolutely nowhere near it.
Yeah, she did, but it's poor defending from Kylie Nolan has left Jill Scott. They haven't rectified the problem that we identified first half. I think someone's ran off the back shoulder of Kaylee Green as well, so I think the players coming in have obviously obstructed her view, but she needs to be better gathering them in and being more secure.
And they get a win for Wales, will give them the group. A draw, though, would give them real headaches. It's a free kick for Jill Scott because they don't have enough points against the teams just below them in the group for a second place berth in the second place playoffs. We just heard there at half-time why Scotland needed a couple of goals more against Switzerland, because they're second to Switzerland on the head-to-head rule. Scotland and Switzerland well placed, though, to go through either of those as one of the second place teams to go into the playoff. I don't think Wales will have that safety net. England would. England, a draw will suffice. Wales, I think, really need to win. They know that. They have been more expansive tonight. Laura O'Sullivan hasn't been as secure as she was in that first game.
And I think Wales are going for it. If you look at their shape, they've definitely pushed Helen Ward and Kylie Nolan further forward for the start. I mean, obviously they'll come back and sit into that 4 in midfield when we're defending, but they've seemed to push them a bit higher.
Brilliant performance. People, you know, maybe too much concentration on England's failings tonight and not enough praise on what Wales have done. It Wales now on the attack. We'll come back to that in a moment. Here's Tony. England on the attack, I should say. Duggan back towards Jordan Nobbs, slipped it into Kirby. Duggan again went to place it across the box, and that's a corner ball. Would you agree? Not enough praise of Wales so far, sir?
Oh, definitely. You have to give Wales credit because, yes, England have tried to move the ball quicker, but I don't think the quality has been there. But that's because Wales have been stopping that quality.
Good start of the second half by England. 3 minutes gone in the half. Duggan plays it back. Late run by Greenwood, who can hit them from there, but better than that.
That's ambitious, but it's, you know, if there's anybody technically that can get over the ball and get that on target, it is Alex. She's just, unfortunately, she's leaning back a bit too much there. But going back to that point, and we've seen this evident right in that clip there. England are making mistakes because there are so many Wales players surrounding the ball. They are hunting in packs, and it's making it really difficult for England to get the ball out of those areas quickly.
Alex Greenwood, part of that Manchester United Women's Football revolution this season, played in their games so far. Here's Kirby, who's beginning to find the pockets of space, and Harris back to her left foot, cross just deflects off Harding. It's going to be another corner kick for England. They look strong at the moment, England, at the start of this second half, Sue.
Yeah, definitely. Phil Neville's clearly said to them, you go out there and make sure you put those wrongs right from the first half. Frank Kirby, more involved, like you said, finding those little pockets of space and just getting the ball out wide as quickly as possible.
Phil Neville would have told her, you've got to work to find the pockets of space.
Yeah.
They're not just going to open up for you. You really have to work the space. England have a corner kick now. Are Wales switched on at the back? In it comes for a little flick on. Too much space in there for Jordan Nobbs, really. It's easy for the goalkeeper. England should have made better use of that because Wales had switched off, but they looked to counter and they looked for Kaylee Green. England made a point of watching her in the first game down at St Mary's. They knew that she works and works and works. Here's Harding, right foot delivery. It's a good ball in, you know. I don't think Kylie Nolan realises what a good ball that was.
Yeah, we just need more numbers there to support an attack, you know. 2 out of the 3 forwards are outside of the box and that ball goes in, and Kylie's probably the smallest player on the pitch, so if she wins that and she gets a knockdown, we need players there to support her.
Sold the tickets completely for this game, sold out within 22 hours, I think it was, and it has been a terrific evening in terms of atmosphere. And well done to the Welsh FA. They chose to play here. They knew it would be more daunting for England than playing, let's say, at Cardiff or Swansea. A little nudge on there by Duggan, cleared away by Ingle. Duggan's won it back, hesitant there from Harding, and England have it with Lucy Bronze. Natasha Harding goes to meet her. England could switch this. Nobbs has Greenwood available on the left, and Paris, who started this second half predominantly on that left-hand side, she's gone out there now, can turn away and run. Rhiannon Roberts checks back again to get a right-footed cross in, and it's easily blocked and cleared away by Fishlock, who was hammering out the words of the Welsh national anthem beforehand. His team looked a calmer team before the first whistle was blown, but I'll tell you what, they know they've been in an encounter tonight. Raw passion out there. And why not? Wales can make history, and England, he said right at the top of the commentary, Sue, under real pressure here, I think, for the first time since I'm not talking about the European Championships, the World Cup, because in Canada, because of the significance of England needing to reach another World Cup.
Well, the expectations are so high, aren't they, that England don't just qualify for big tournaments, they do well in big tournaments, so they know that they have to do that.
England have possession on the far side. Brighton and Horton together, in terms of passing together, once or twice have been a little bit higgledy-piggledy, but that's going to be a corner kick now for England. Long ball pumped away and just tucked out at the back by Rhiannon Roberts.
Yeah, I don't think England are used to being so under pressure, you know, having people right in their faces when they're in possession of the ball, and Wales are really asking questions of their quality, you know, can they play well?
In comes the corner kick, looking for Scott in the air, she got something on it, it's not yet away, it is now, the big booming clearance away by Kylie Nolan. A little spell at Bristol last season without playing for them, back at Cardiff now. You still involved there at Cardiff? I know you're teaching now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a PE teacher in Ysgol Glantaf in Cardiff, Welsh-speaking school. Trying to drive the game from that end, really. We've just set up in the county a girls' football league. We're the only county in Wales to have a girls' football league, so trying to drive the game on in the grassroots level. Brendan
Harris capped 56 times for Wales, 18 goals she scored. England look for the first of tonight, and the cross aimed at Nikita Paris and gathered there by Laura O'Sullivan. The performance at St Mary's, one of the best ever, I think, we've seen from a goalkeeper in women's international football. It was that good. Fortune favours the Braves. Sound again there. She's had her iffy moments tonight, perhaps. Now here's Fran Kirby beginning to get a major role in the game, and Duggan on the outside of Roberts, who went to ground, pulls it back. No, she didn't. She couldn't edge it back to Jodie Taylor. Danger there when your defender goes to ground. Modern coaches will say keep on your feet as long as you can. Greenwood, good run. This time Roberts did go to ground and timed it well. Needed to on that occasion. That's been a good combination for England down that left, Duggan and Greenwood. No dummy Stokes at the moment, of course, for England. She's sidelined, out injured. Jordan Nobbs, very narrow. England very narrow in there, driven in narrow by Wales, and they got sucked into the spider's web, rather.
Yeah, well, the width is coming from the fullbacks. It's coming from Greenwood on the left and Lucy Bronze on the right. Both Nikita Paris and Tony Duggan are trying to play as quite a tight three up front, but they just need to be careful that they're not too flat.
Yeah, I think they're making it quite easy, well, not easy, but they're making it easier for Wales to defend when we're in that back five, because you know, when you're picking up players when they're out wider, you don't know whether to quite go and go so tight with them, and you leave gaps. Whereas at the minute, England are trying to play through, and there's too many bodies in the way.
Duggan, no foul, no free kick given, and then Harrod Rees felt there that she had an out ball. Jess Fishlock was the only one up there, or rather it was Kylie Nolan who was the only one up there. Green and Fishlock had dropped him deeper, and England have it back, and it's all England at the start of this second half now. This is a good run. Green wants it back again, instead it comes into Jordan Nobbs. Kirby, not a good ball to her, she has to go some to get that, and bring in Lucy Bronze. Jill Scott tried to loop it over Ingle. It's a slice clearance that comes out to Paris. Wales look a little bit jittery. That's a brilliant challenge from Natasha Harding. What a fine footballer she is. Really good challenge. England have it back though. Paris. Here's Jill Scott. Needs to measure the cross. Handed away by Roberts. Nobbs will hit it from there. And over it goes, goal kick. Nobs was actually caught late after the ball had gone. Might have been a free kick to England as the challenge came in. The shot was off target.
But again, great closing down by Wales and not giving England an inch. You know, when they have an opportunity, there's someone straight on them, and you know they'll be very happy to limit England to chances from distance.
Did the referee give a free kick there?
I think it was a free kick. I think it was a late challenge, but that's what Wales have done. And as a player, if you know that a player's going to be diving in on you, there's going to be 1-2 players, it does put it in your head, doesn't it? And maybe you don't make the decisions you want to make because you're too busy thinking about what they're going to do. And Wales is certainly, that intensity of defending's been excellent.
And Wales make history in Newport, place of myths in the past. One historic story says that Gawain, the nephew of King Arthur, once gave him a dunking in the river here. Guinevere saved him. Here's Nikita Paris as the cross came in, headed away. Lucy Bronze has it now for England. Jordan Nobbs screaming for it now, gets the first time crossing round the corner. Taylor was in there, goalkeeper sprawls, curly square. 1-0 England, the deadlock is broken. They have been so much stronger at the start of the second half, and with 11 minutes gone after the restart, England are ahead through Tony Duggan. A win will take them to the World Cup finals and will absolutely tear apart Welsh hearts.
It's been a much better start in this second half from England, and it all started from Nikita Paris's run. I was saying you don't want your front three to be too square. She makes a fantastic run, and this is just a great first-time delivery by Jordan Nobbs. Jodie Taylor makes it really difficult for Green. Real quick thinking from Frank Kirby to play the ball out to Tony Duggan. And you know what? That isn't an easy goal to score. You know, she has to, Lucy Bronze, you can see, looks up. That first-time delivery, fantastic ball in. Jodie Taylor does well, and then this is a lovely finish into the bottom corner.
Gwennon, Jodie Taylor's run though, where were the Welsh centre-halves, you have to say, as Taylor peeled it through?
For the first time in the whole campaign, they've been caught sleeping there because Jodie Taylor's ran off the back of Hayley Ladd, and that's where the opportunities come from. Rhiannon Roberts is caught square on, she's looking at the ball, she's not opened her body up to look at where her player is, and Tony's got a finish, and you can't give the likes of Tony Duggan, one of the world's best players, an opportunity like that.
Kirby appeals for handball. It's England at the moment on top, very much on top, and Wales for the first time in the campaign look a little bit shell-shocked. They're going to make a substitution any minute.
Yeah, Elise Hughes, I think, the Everton youngster.
I think Elise Hughes is going to come on, and young Kylie Nolan is going to go off. We'll tell you about that in just a few minutes, because England have this free kick, I'd say 6-8 yards outside the penalty area. Greenwood, left-footed, stands to the right of the ball. Captain wants a part of it, she's standing to the left of the wall. Steph Houghton, focused, has a couple of goals in this campaign so far. That wall doesn't look particularly secure. Fishlock on the left-hand side of it, the right as England will see it. Will it go over her? It does, and the keeper fingertips it away. That's good goalkeeping. That's a bad wall though lined up, I think. Yeah,
that's a great save by Laura Sullivan. You know, she's obviously determined who she wants in the wall. We haven't got the height advantage that England have, but what a save down to her right hand side. She's got a real strong hand to it.
Terrific goalkeeping again. Good hit by Houghton.
Steph does so well to get the ball over the wall. That was going into the bottom corner. I thought Green got her feet spot on, managed to get across well and get a good hand.
Back at Cardiff, Laura Sullivan, she was at Kincard last year. She had a spell at Yeovil. She played just one game last season against Brighton in a Continental Cup. I wonder why the bigger clubs don't come for her. Maybe we'll talk about that in a moment, but in comes a corner kick. She comes and punches, doesn't get there. Here's Lucy Bronson, lob it back. Jill Scott with the header. England have a second. England 2-0 up at Wales and on the way to another World Cup finals. A quiet smile from the coach, and England very much bossing this game now. Sue Smith.
They really are. Whatever Phil Neville said to them at half-times clearly worked. Excellent play from Jill Scott. What a header that was. I've got to question Green's positioning on that. I think Jill Scott actually seen that Green was slightly off the line, but to have the awareness to actually just lob the ball in. And I think Jill Scott went over and celebrated with Carly Telfer, which was really nice. So as the ball gets cleared, you can see Green's just slightly off a line. Jill Scott notices that, and what a header that is to generate that power from just a lofted ball in. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's an absolutely brilliant header. That's a top quality finish, but again, question marks over the Welsh defence. We caught sleeping and leaving probably the most dangerous player from an attacking sense for England.
You pinpointed that in the first half, didn't you?
Yeah, and you know, it's come back. You know, against a team with the likes of England, they're not going to keep missing opportunities, and it's come back to bite us.
Wales are not out of this yet, of course. And results may go their way in coming days to give them a second place team, but it's not all over in this game.
Well, this is a real question now, because all the talk has been on England and have they got answers to the Welsh defensive shape and play and tactics. Well, now the question marks are on Wales, you know, and it's positive because we've never been in this situation before, but we've got 30 minutes to really show what we're about and show a lot more attacking flair and ambition now.
There's Elise Hughes, she's 17. She plays at Everton. She played just an hour of football last season for them from the bench. Dad Peter played, Grandad David was a Welsh under-23. I seem to remember. That's lobbed over. Half a chance, lobbed over the bar. It goes from Helen Ward. No one scored more goals for Wales than she.
Yeah, and you'd expect someone of Helen Ward's quality to, you know, to be at least getting that on target. And she's leaning back, she should be getting her head over the ball and trying to put it down low where it's difficult for Karen Barty to get to.
2 goals in 3 minutes for England. Duggan and Scott, both of them have 22 goals now in their England history. And Tony Duggan has 4 in this run. I think she's offside, Jodie Taylor. But they're now beginning to find gaps, Sue, as Wales obviously have to chase the game.
Of course, and that will play into England's hands, because as Wales commit more players forward, that's where England will find those little gaps that Fran Kirby will get into. Jodie Taylor will obviously exploit the space in behind if Wales step up as a defence.
And maybe that's where Phil Neville's thinking is. Maybe he thought, you know, when Wales do go, because at some point we have to, and we had to, maybe that's his thought in knowing that Jodie Taylor runs great runs, clever runs in behind the Welsh defence, and with space, she'll exploit it.
Here comes Paris. Fitness is now coming into question as well, and Paris has gone into the box. It's a brilliant run by Nikita Paris. Not a good pullback. It was seen by Hayley Ladd, who clears it away. And I have to say that Hayley Ladd, throughout this campaign, one of their ever present, she scored against Kazakhstan, has been absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, she's only 24 years old, and I can remember when she broke through. You just know when there's a real quality player, someone who understands the game, and herself and Sophie Ingle, both of them have been rocks in the Welsh defence. They're actually midfielders, and I think that's where their composure comes from. They allow us to open up the game from the back.
Jill Scott has forced another corner kick for England. She has been absolutely huge for them today, England, once again. She hasn't played a huge role in this qualifying campaign. 3 games, 4 games now and 3 goals, but she hasn't played too many matches. When she doesn't play, England are a weaker team. Here's Kirby and Bronze, and again Taylor was in there, and it comes to Kirby. She'll chip long, looking then for the far post area, and Duggan's onto it very, very quickly. Greenwood took up a good position to receive the ball there, and back it goes to Bronze. Captain Horton is still up there. Here is Greenwood. And it's Greenwood. Bubbly character. And off she goes. And the Welsh are singing at Newport, but they're behind by 2-0. Jill Scott, perfect ball in for Taylor. Doesn't come to her, comes to a Duggan. Good technique, saved by the goalkeeper. That's Barcelona technique, boys. She is so improved since she went to Spanish football.
What a ball from Jill Scott this is, though. Absolutely drives it into the right areas. Jodie Taylor's in there, but yeah, you've got to say, excellent technique. Just either side of the goalkeeper, she needed to put it.
Here's the table as it stands. England would be through, and Wales would have to rely on finishing as one of the best 4 runners-up to get a playoff place. And at the moment, it doesn't look promising for them on that front. Here's Paris. Free kick with a rather rumbustious challenge by Sophie Ingle, I think. ahead of Wales would be a Scotland or a Switzerland. They come from the same group, Norway or Netherlands, whoever finishes second in that group. Sweden or Denmark. They play, by the way, in a clincher for the group on Tuesday. I think Iceland will be in there because I think Germany will eventually finish above Iceland in the table. And all of those teams have a better record in the chase for a second place spot than the Welsh. 20 minutes gone in the second half. What an opening to the second period it's been for England. Scott trying to manoeuvre away, and the referee wants a word here, does she? No, it's Duggan. In comes the free kick. Keeper Kane didn't really get there, and it's just forced wide by Horton coming up around the back post. England at the moment in command. So what can Wales do, Gwennon, to get back in the game?
Well, we've got to sort our set pieces out for a start because we're looking so vulnerable. But we have to push players further forward now. You've got to go for best, and they look a bit tired, and rightly so in one sense because they have worked so hard. But what's interesting is seeing Tash Harding come from left wing back to centre forward. Her pace is frightening, so hopefully we can get her involved in the game. If we can get a goal back, it'll just make England a little bit more nervy, a little bit more edgy, and put them under a bit of pressure, whereas they look in command, they look comfortable at the moment.
Jane Ledler was talking to Sue and I before the game, saying she's got the bench. She's got babies on the bench, young girls on the bench, but Nadia Lawrence is there. She's got experienced third striker, 36 internationals.
She's one that Jane will...
Here's Duggan in the box for England. Sorry, Gwennon.
Jane will turn to her regularly, so in this campaign Jane hasn't made many substitutions, but Nadia is one that will come on regularly. She hasn't started many games for Wales, so she has accumulated a lot of caps, but maybe not as much playing time as she would have liked, and she's only scored one goal, so now would be a perfect time for her to come on and double her tally.
Number 17 you saw there on the bench was a minute ago was Peyton Vince. She's 17. She's come from the USA to play here. I think she qualifies through her grandmother, is it? Now it's Jordan Nobbs, Jill Scott for England. Paris turning away from Ingle and getting the cross in. No, not quite yet. Lucy Bronze is up there in support. She turns away now. Was tripped. Free kick England's way, and Wales, as Gwennon was saying, Sue, suddenly look a tired side. She said how many times to the referee, no, it's just a free kick, it's just a free kick, that's it, get on with it.
But it was a great run again from Nikita Paris. The second goal came from that run, and what she's doing, she goes short, and then as the ball goes, so the defender goes with her, she just spins because she knows she's got that pace in behind. Intelligent running from Nikita.
Not every challenge is a free kick, not every free kick is a yellow card offence.
It's interesting to see Elise Hughes being employed as a left wing back because she's a forward, and someone with so young and so inexperienced, it's a big ask of her to go up against someone of the quality of Nikita Paris, who's lightning quick.
Duggan to the left, Greenwood to the right. To take this free kick, the referee has a word with Steph Horton in there. Jill Scott trying to manoeuvre away into space. In comes the free kick, whipped into the near post, the keeper spilt it, it's in, and I think Paris has got the last touch, and England have a 3-goal lead, and England have one foot in the World Cup finals in France. That's what it means to her, and the Welsh second half has absolutely crumbled. The hero of St Mary's, Laura O'Sullivan, the goalkeeper, spilled, and Phil Neville's side are in a very dominant position.
They really are, and it was again a mistake from Kaylee Green, unfortunately, but again just real desire from an England perspective to get on the end of it. That was spilled, but who's first to the ball? It's Jodie Taylor initially. She's the first one, gets in there, manages to just get it across goal, and that's a brave header from Nikita Paris to put her head in there, but so much better from England. This is what Phil Neville will have wanted them to do, and I know that's probably because Wales are tiring and Wales are trying to come out that little bit more, but much better quality-wise from England.
Yeah, you've got to credit England, the way they've come out, and they've pushed Wales so much further back. We haven't, apart from maybe that first 5 minutes, we haven't seen Wales in an attacking force in this half, from that one half chance. But what's disappointing is that all 3 of those goals have come from set pieces, and that's something that you really need to, at international level, be able to sort out quickly. If there is a problem, you need to be able to sort it out, and you need your commanding players, the likes of Fishlock, Ingle, those experienced players, to just get everyone together, calm people down and sort it out.
Taylor trying to make the run here in behind and cause problems for the Welsh defence again. Louise Hughes, such a youngster, brought on to play a major role. Here's Kirby. Nobbs. And Greenwood has Duggan pulling wide to that left-hand side. You almost hear him saying at half-time, get the ball out wide and cleanly into the middle. Keeper has come, hasn't got there. Again, it was something that England were prepared to work on, knowing she was going to come for everything. That's Lucy Bronze's shot that swerves wide. Knowing she was going to come for something, so all the time, and there would be spills in there, and they might pick up the second ball, might pick up the chances.
Yeah, of course, and that's what you always are told, aren't you, as a forward, that when the ball goes in, make sure you challenge. Like that was, she just took her eye off the ball. I think as she came for it, came off her chest, and like I say, the first ones to react in the first half were Wales. In the second half, England are picking that first and second ball.
Yeah, they've picked up every first and second ball in this second half, and it's made a difference, especially in the box. You know, if you don't pick up that first ball, you are going to be likely to concede.
Hayley Green now for Wales. Harding's gone away into that more forward role, of course, since the substitution. She has it now to take on Greenwood.
But look, only one Wales player up there. We've got to show more ambition. You know, we're 3-0 down. We have to get players up there, but this is what I'm saying. I think we look very tired now. And have we got enough depth? Have we got enough strength on the bench, on the quality? But that's the big question for me, is when you look at the overall picture of this campaign. You know, we're such a far smaller nation, so we're never going to have England are giants, they're phenomenons compared to us. So when you look at the bigger picture, to be even in contention going into this game, it was huge for Wales.
Here comes Peyton Vince on to replace a great player for Wales, Helen Ward. It may be her last chance. Big Watford fan, plays for Watford, even though they went down and haven't got a licence to play in WSL. But she's massive Watford, and I'm not too sure whether she'll have another chance to play at the World Cup finals. But she's been a Welsh great. You might remember her, Helen Lander it was, wasn't it? I think when she was, that was her maiden name. And I don't think I'm wrong there by saying she's a great for Wales.
Oh, Wales is all-time leading goal scorer, female, but male or female, so she's definitely going to go down as one of the Welsh greats. And you know, she's been a really important player for Wales over the last 8 years.
Jane Ludlow was saying to us beforehand that you know, this is make or break. A lot of these players won't get an opportunity again, but I think the squad is young enough to come again. But here's Lucy Bronze now for England to drive in. I think she's going for goal there, Lucy. I think she's going for it, and veered wide.
I think the smile says she was going for it as well.
Now Phil Neville's going to have a word with Tony Duggan, very proactive coach. She's going for that, Lucy Bronze.
That would be Roberto Carlos-esque if she could get that in from there.
There's Gailey Green to take on Bronze at the other end. And across steps the captain, Steph Horton. She's marshalled her very, very well and deflects away. Green felt that she was impeded or blocked off. It should have been a Welsh ball, but the referee who disallowed that goal in the first half against England, pictures proved it was a wrong decision, then had a very good decision in denying Wales a penalty. Has improved as the game has gone on, I think, the Any comment? Listen, you're never normally short of a word or two.
I was just surprised that you were praising the referee there.
I think a couple of early decisions were a bit baffling. Scott with a flick on. She's been enormous for England today. Here's Jordan Nobbs. Harding. Fishlock just slips away from her at 31. Will she get another chance of a World Cup? Now Kirby, much more dominant role from her in the second half. Duggan to take on Roberts, who just stood her ground, held her up, didn't do anything wrong, and Wales cleared as a result, but not for the first time in the game. And Harrod James has pumped long and given Hayley Green really an impossible task, but she did it well. Mission impossible. She pressurised Millie Bright.
Yeah, and she'll give you that all day, 90 minutes. You know, she'll work hard and she'll force people to make mistakes, and we've seen it there. You know, Millie Bright under pressure has put the ball out for a Wales throw.
And that's so difficult when you're on your own. She's so isolated at times, and yet she continues to do it, doesn't she, for the entire game.
That's what I've been so impressed with her in this campaign. Is, as I've said, in the first half, she's a defender and she's learning her trade as a centre half. She's done it so well. It's as if she knows, as a former centre half, what she doesn't want to play against, like a centre forward, and she has held the ball up well, but she's span in and ran behind also.
Well, England have a very strong bench, and Izzy Christensen's going to come on for them now. Plays now in French football at Lyon, and has started well for them. Scored in the Champions competition in America. That's a foul this time against Jodie Taylor, and Wales have an opportunity to get it in the box and just inject a little bit of life back into this game with a quarter of an hour to go, and England leading by 3-0. They would be in the World Cup finals tonight. They wouldn't need to pick up anything in that last game against Kazakhstan. Wales will be left to hope for favours from other nations. An unlikely route through to the playoffs. Fishlock is there, wearing 10. Roberts is up from the back as well. Green on the edge of the D. And you've got Roberts, and it comes, looking for Green on the edge of the penalty area. Hammered into the box. Not the best of efforts, but it's cleared away. And out it goes. It was Elise Hughes, the young substitute, who had that shot that was blocked on the edge of the box. Harding, such a versatile player. Knobs out, muscled by Anhara James. I remember Arsenal weren't very happy when she left. And went off to Bristol, I think it was at the time. A forlorn look. Just had a new contract, the Welsh coach, new 4-year extension. Absolutely right and proper. On comes Izzy Christensen. Jane Ludlow, very good footballer. She played for Wales at netball and basketball, and she was the British under-17 triple jump record holder. Don't you just hate people like that?
What an athlete. What an absolute athlete.
I think that's why she was such a good box-to-box midfielder, because she had the engine to get, but she had the athleticism. She was so leggy.
Taylor goes off and Christensen comes on. Kirby will now take the front running role for England, with Christensen just behind her. She scored in that Champions League competition against Lyon, Paris Saint-Germain and North Carolina, who won it in the end. Paris back then to Jill Scott. Scott ball into the middle and comfortably saved. 13 minutes to go. Jill Scott has been a massive factor for England. The decisive factor?
I think so. I think she's been excellent. I think she's been getting on the ball, especially in this second half. And it's that energy, those runs into the box that are difficult to pick up. She makes those late runs, doesn't she?
Yeah, I think she's forced Jess Fisher and Hannah James in our midfield to go and pick her up. And then it's given a little bit more space then to Frank Kirby, and Wales have played so flat at the back they haven't been able to deal with it. And with the set pieces, then obviously, as Jill always does, she makes those late runs into the box when this crosses wide, and from set pieces she's so strong.
Harding just clipped Greenwood there inadvertently, and it's Greenwood clears it away.
I think Wales are really missing now Rachel Rowe, because she's been one of our best players in this campaign anyway, but now we're needing something, and we're looking tired. That girl, I'd love to see her running figures, because she can run a phenomenal amount, and she has a real quality. She caused England a few problems in the reverse fixture as well, so she is a big miss for this Welsh side.
Hadn't missed a game, she hadn't missed a minute actually of the qualifying campaign at all up until this moment. Lucy Bronx. Robs to Christensen. Manchester City to move to the Olympic champions Lyon. Steph Horton, very much the Manchester City captain, chasing there with Kaylee Green. Yeah, do well for Brighton, I think, this season, Kaylee Green.
She needs her to her feet there, though. You know, she's tiring as well, and there wasn't really much room to work with if you're playing it on the outside down the channel there. So really need to get Kaylee Green the ball to her feet so she can bring players into play.
Ryan Giggs in the stands there. The ball nearly came through to Duggan. She's got it now. Can she keep the ball in play? She can do. Threads it back into the middle. Wouldn't drop for Kirby. Edged away very well by Dykes. And then she clears it up once again, the Bristol player.
Do you know, Rhiannon Roberts got a real vital touch there. Just took Tony Duggan wide, which meant she couldn't have the shot on goal and she had to cross it back into the area.
Yeah, she recovered very well because she'd initially switched off. Great movement by Tony Duggan. Tony Duggan and Nikita Price, their movement has caused Wales a lot of problems in between the units the second half. And to be honest, she could have gone down there as well, so she did very well.
10 minutes to go. Bronze with the cross in the middle. Comes all the way through to Duggan. There's a push in there, though, by Christensen. Roberts, of course, was at Doncaster, your old club, last season. They won WSL 2, but couldn't get a licence. The new look WSL starts this weekend. Come on, Wales, they're still full of hope here. England, of course, Sue, hopeful of getting the Euro 2021 finals. They've submitted their official bid to host those finals. Stadium like the Amex at Brighton and Wembley, Milton Keynes, Manchester City's Academy Stadium. I'll ask you about that in a moment. Here's Lucy Bronze as she finds Paris. Nikita Paris, 4 up on the edge of the penalty. Wales are really struggling here for numbers back. England haven't played that at all well. So your thoughts on the application to host the European Championship?
Very exciting. Just really hope that England can get that, because we hosted it in 2005 and that was obviously before women's football was as big as it is now, and I think they sold out tickets for the first game, which was at the old Manchester City Stadium. So you just think now, with the appetite of women's football, I think it'd be a great occasion, and I think it could take England to the next level.
Fishlock, can she get Wales back into the game here, as they dreamt of getting to their first ever major finals? And she looks for Harding. Together they've starred for Wales so many times, and they forced a corner here with 8.5 minutes to go. Can they get back in the game?
That's typical Jess Fishlock as well. You know, picking up the ball, she's so low, she's got low centre of gravity. She's really hard to get off the ball when she goes on those driving runs. 10 minutes left, we really need to get her on the ball more.
European champion with Frankfurt. She's won leagues in Scotland, Australia, Holland. In comes a poor corner and a poor clearance, slices it away. Eight minutes to go. I'll ask you to pick a player of the match in a minute. In comes the corner kick, downward header by Roberts. There's a push. Sue, who would be your player of the match?
Do we have to confer on this, or?
No.
There's been a few, I think, from England that I could have gone for. I think Nikita Paris has done well. Tony Duggan's done excellent. I've got to go for Jill Scott.
Pardon?
Yeah, I'll agree. I would have given it between Nikita Paris or Jill Scott. But I think her presence, especially in the second half, has really been the difference, and Wales haven't been able to cope with her.
Well, she's gone off, and Kira Walsh has come on. A player of the match performance by Jill Scott, and she's obviously heard your decision and disagreed with it. She's on her way up here now to have a word.
This is the difference, though, between Wales and England at the moment. It's that England can rely on the bench, you know, the quality of someone of Kira Walsh, you know. Yeah. That is a great problem to have, having so many, you know, Farrah Williams is injured at the moment, having such good quality players, and obviously we're a lot smaller nation, so we're never going to have the amount of numbers playing. Wales are a lot smaller nation, so never going to have that amount of numbers, but it's just about trying to get more players involved, as we've seen. And as I said in the first half, you know, 17% of a rise in the number of girls playing football. So hopefully, you know, in the years to come, Wales will have a greater depth and follow the likes of England.
What a header this
Jill
is.
Scott, great header, and she's our player of the match. And there she is. And to be replaced, as Gwennon was saying, by Kira Walsh, who played a massive role for Manchester City last season, has come into the side for a couple of qualifiers, shows England's strength in depth. And they are about to take their place with the other nations who have qualified for the World Cup finals.
The Barry Horns.
The Barry Horns.
They were very prominent in Wales men's Euro success in France 2016, so it's great to see them here as well.
Are they from Barry Island?
They're from Barry.
Oh. I had many a night out. Do you want to hear about those stories when I was a teenager?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think anybody else was.
All right then. Here's Duggan for England. And it comes then to Jordan Nobbs. And played out wide by Greenwood. Very strong in the second half. England, they simply blew Wales away, really. First goal was on 56 minutes, Tony Duggan. A couple of minutes later, Jill Scott with that header we've seen. And then on 68 minutes, Nikita Paris bravely put a head in to nod them 3-0 up. And here's Bright. And Duggan, who's also been outstanding, and Kirby has in the second half. Nobbs. But Wales have scrambled away, will they? And Kirby's gone down in the penalty as she turned. Nikita Parris is concerned here that Van Kirby is injured. As she spun there, she's hurt her ankle.
She must have rolled her ankle, because straight away Nikita Parris is signalling to the bench. It's not a sight you want to see.
So Rachel Daly is waiting to come on for England.
Spoke about Natasha Harding being so versatile. So is Rachel Daly, isn't she? I think you can. This is the incident here. So as she does the little drag back.
Oh, that's a penalty. It should have been a penalty.
It is a penalty, but also her ankle completely went from the challenge.
Yeah, that's a Stonewall penalty, but concern more for her ankle because it didn't look healthy.
That's the main concern for England now. The game is won, really, and lost. Rachel Daly will come on. She came back into the squad on Monday, I think she arrived. She plays Houston Dash. And she'll come on. She's on her 12th cap for her country. Her third appearance in these qualifiers. And meanwhile, Phil Morgan is going to come on for Wales. Another youngster, another of Jane Ludlow's babies, she calls him. She's 18, and I'll tell you what, it's great to see her playing football. She's come back from a cruciate knee ligament injury. She hasn't played for a year, and she's about to come on. England concerned for Fran Kirby. I wonder if that substitution was planned anyway, because they had Daly up and waiting to come on. But she looks in real pain. Another big concern, of course, for Chelsea.
Yeah, just fingers crossed it's just a tweak and she'll be all right in a couple of days. But yeah, Rachel Daly, Miss Versatile, can play full-back, can play out wide. She's been playing up front for Houston Dash, and I think she's enjoying her football at the moment. So it's nice to see Rachel Daly have a run out.
When she comes in, she played left back in Russia in June, didn't she? I seem to remember. And that's a win over there. Bronze with the throw. Nikita Parris has just dropped back a couple of yards to give her an option. Daly trying to find a yard of space. Comes to the ball. So does Parris. Cleared away now by England. There's no one there for Wales. England well in command, and a very, very good second half when they were hard pressed. Make no mistake about it. Let's put this into context. Wales hadn't conceded a goal in the competition up until tonight. And here's Jordan Knox. Cross deflected away. It's been a superb performance by England in this second period, that's for sure.
I think with Wales, you know, when you're asking them to defend so deep when they did in the home leg, defend so deep, it was a lot easier. They weren't maybe as tired as they would have, as you would expect, because everything was playing in front of them. With asking this midfield to get higher and the forwards to get forward and support, you'll go into fatigue a lot quicker, and England have shown their quality with making that count when they've had those opportunities.
90 seconds to go. Across the far post, headed down by Millie Bright. And away for a goal kick. Gwennon, thanks for coming in and rescuing the situation.
That's okay, I did
so
have a little look.
Are you here?
It's past my bedtime.
It's going to be a goal kick to Wales. It'd be harsh to criticise Laura Sullivan because she's made good saves tonight, spilled a couple, but I think she's that sort of goalkeeper. And off goes another Welsh great, I would suggest. At 29, I think she's got time to feature in another World Cup qualifying campaign, and this young lady, we hope, has got the world of football ahead of her after coming back from that very nasty injury.
Yeah, and that's something really difficult to deal with at such a young age. She's shown a lot of potential, and I know everybody in the Welsh setup thinks highly of her and is really pleased to see her back. And you know, what an occasion to come on, Wales against England.
You see how much that means, can't you, to Natasha Harding? She's given absolutely everything. You couldn't have asked any more from her, and it's horrible to see that.
Yeah, and she's so patriotic, and she's a Welsh speaker as well, and she really does wear her heart on her sleeve. She's a real character, and she's hurt, and as all the girls will be, but she wears her heart on her sleeve. She shows her emotions.
Away for Wales by Lauren Dykes, but we're in the last 10 seconds at the end of their World Cup qualifying campaign. They will have to depend now on results in the week going their way, with the remaining games to be played, for her team to finish as one of the best top 4 runners up. And I'm not too sure, with the fixtures that have come, that's going to happen.
Yeah, it looks really difficult from the playoffs, but if we put everything into context, going into this last game, thinking that we'd have an opportunity to qualify, and not just for playoffs, but to top the group, that shows how far this Welsh team have come, and this is an unbelievable campaign to beat Russia, you know, and to finish above Russia, who were in the European finals last year, is a phenomenal achievement. And to push England as hard as they are, and to worry England as well, who are ranked 4th in the world, and you know, I've got some outstanding individuals, shows how far this Welsh team have come. And you know, everybody that has come here tonight and everybody watching, I'm sure, is very proud of them.
And the fact they've gone up to 29th in the world, I think it is the highest ever, would mean that Jane Ludlow's side, that will reflect in the next draw for the next major championship, because it will push them higher up the coefficient and they'll get a better draw, they would hope. That's the way it works, in theory. And England's goalkeeper, who's been totally underworked in this second half, Karen Bartley, gets a rare touch, and England are seconds away from another World Cup finals. They've qualified for the last 3, and they're going to be there again. Bronze medalists in Canada, can they do better in the summer? Because they'll be there now. Paris heads down looking for Nobbs, and it'll be one last run here away for Wales by Ingle, the captain. She finds Green, and the flag is raised against Peyton Vince. It's a free kick for offside. Already through France, the hosts, China, Thailand, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Brazil, Chile, Spain and Italy. The USA, the holders, they have to qualify, and England will be there any moment now. And this heartbreak for Natasha Harding, sitting there behind Jane Ludlow. She's inconsolable. As England look for Paris again over the top, and out comes Laura O'Sullivan. 35 seconds left of stoppage time. England look to play wide to the left-hand side. Roberts back to a goalkeeper. Tired sort of a clearance, that. England in no hurry. They keep the ball, they win the game, they go to France. Played out by the captain, Steph Orton. He's had a much better second half. And England in the second half have simply blown them away, and England have reached the World Cup finals. Success for Phil Neville, steering them through for Jane Ludlow. A handshake at the end, but that won't help the heartache. Wales knew a win would take them through, defeated by England, and if ifs, buts and maybes now, because they are very unlikely to make it through to the playoffs for the best 4 runners-up in the competition. England roared into the second half and scored 3 quick goals through Duggan, Scott and Paris. 3 goals in a 12-minute blistering spell. And first of all to Sue Smith on England's success.
Excellent second half performance. It was a difficult game. They had to really dig deep, especially in that first half, but they came out a completely different side in that second half. They were quicker, they were more direct, and then they were clinical in front of goal, and that's what we wanted. That's what England needed to do, and they did it.
There are tears out there for your compatriots, Gwen, and you can see what it means to the likes of Tash Harding out there. Heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken.
Yeah, they absolutely get it, because we've never been in this situation before, and you know, it was just one game too far. It's disappointing, but a lot was asked of them, you know, to try and come forward. A lot was asked of the midfield, and they were going to fatigue, and under fatigue, you know, you lose concentration, and those set pieces, a team of England's quality, are going to put them away.
Well, commiserations for Wales, congratulations for England. They're through to the World Cup finals.
Congratulations to England then. They are going to the World Cup in France next summer. Commiserations to Wales tonight. All hope is not completely lost for them. They will hope results go their way and they can hang on to a second place qualification spot. But England have done the job with a game to spare. And the scorer of the first goal of that second half, first goal for England tonight, Tony Duggan, is with Lindsay Hooper.
Okay. Tony, you got that first all-important goal in this match, but you had to be patient to get it.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be difficult. You know, fair play to Wales. They've been brilliant throughout the group stage and they pushed us right to the end. And it's been a great crowd here tonight. And I'd love to play in front of this every qualifier. It spurred them on, but it also spurred us on.
And it's mission accomplished for you because you've qualified for France next year in the World Cup. That's where you wanted to be, and also with a game spare.
Yeah, we've got our seat on the flight booked now, so really looking forward to it. You know, the World Cup's the biggest stage in any footballer's career, and delighted to be going with the squad.
And in terms of the overall performance here, I mean, what did Phil Neville say to you at half-time? Because a frustrating first half, you couldn't get that breakthrough, but then some quick goals came.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be difficult. You know, it always is against Wales. We've seen in the home leg. They held us to a 0-0 draw, and it was always going to be difficult, but we've worked on being creative, and we knew if we stuck to the game plan, then the goals were going to come, as you've seen in the second half.
Brilliant. Well done. Congratulations, and enjoy going to France.
Thank you.
So England have done the job. Near commiserations to Wales, who really, you know, the second half, it was just a mountain too big to climb for them. And England came out, Alex, in that second half, a very different side, didn't they? Much more clinical, pressing much higher up the pitch.
Yeah, they really are. I wonder what Phil actually said at half-time. We spoke about, yes, they needed to be patient and they don't need to worry just yet. But they just really came out in the second gear with more intent, more hunger and passion, and really stepped it up a gear and more clinical in front of goal.
Nia, for Wales, though, this has been a huge, huge learning curve, hasn't it? An incredibly successful campaign on many levels, and they will take absolutely... Oh, Phil Neville's here, Nia. You have to hold that thought in just a moment. Congratulations. Job done.
Yeah, job done. It was... I went straight to the Wales players because they've been fantastic in the campaign, and I think it's the first time we've ever been in this situation. But I just thought the second half, I thought we showed our class. I thought we showed our possession. I thought we showed that we were a top team, and... I'm proud and I'm looking forward to the next 12 months now.
Alex just said it then. We want to know what you said at half-time, because the first half, credit to Wales, obviously they were defending very well, and they actually perhaps more open than we expected compared to the performance at St Mary's, but England a little bit sloppy in certain places.
Yeah, well, for 30 minutes I thought we controlled it, and then what we did, we started to listen to the crowd, and then they started to win tackles, we started to switch off at free kicks. So at half-time, I told them to relax. Pass the ball, keep possession of the ball and enjoy possession, because that was part of our training. The second half they went out, we kept sustaining attacks, they lost their energy a little bit, and our quality showed in the end. I've got to say that their keeper was unbelievable. She caught every single cross. But I think we're going to enjoy tonight. Look forward to Kazakhstan on Tuesday, and we're on our way to France.
And listen, you've made campaigns as a player for England to European Championships, but you never made a World Cup squad, did you?
Oh, thanks for that, guys.
Well, this is new territory for you.
Look, when I took the job, I said I wanted to win a World Cup, and obviously this week has probably felt the biggest game in my job so far. And you keep thinking we're on a long way pathway, but we've got to win the game tonight. And I'm happy we're going to France. I'm not happy with totally the way we played. I think we can play better, but we've got some good players in our team, and. My feeling is that Wales took us all the way to the wire, and they should be unbelievably proud. It's been a great night for women's football.
Yeah, and congratulations going to a World Cup as England manager. But like you said, even on 85 minutes, you could see you wasn't celebrating. There were still bits that you weren't happy with.
No, because I wanted us to keep possession. It was 1-2 touch play, and I wanted us to stick to the game plan. The game plan was not to go individual. You know, you see a couple of balls over the top, which we'd worked on. We wanted to play a different game than what we played at Southampton. At Southampton, we were too easy to mark, too easy to play against. I wanted to play a little bit direct at times, and in the second half, they took that literally. But I'm happy.
These are special moments. How are you going to celebrate with the team?
Well, we're on a bus back to Birmingham now. Yeah, this is nice. Look, I think we'll celebrate. We'll enjoy the next couple of days.
You celebrated quite early on, actually, and it turned out to not be for just reasons. I'm sure you won't mind.
I'm not going to show that now. Yeah.
But well, to be honest, Phil, actually, when you see it again, I think you'll also agree that the goal should have been allowed. It was clearly onside. So your celebration was actually legitimate, even if the decision wasn't.
I just kept looking up at the Welsh fans behind me. They were absolutely. But
I think they like that.
To be fair, I thought it was in. We wanted a quick start. We wanted to get off on the front foot, but
But actually as well, that's credit to Wales as well. To see how much it meant to you personally, for you to go running onto the pitch, actually that's credit to the Welsh players. It really means something, not just to go to the World Cup, but to break down, you know, what Wales put out there tonight.
And overall, the picture for women's football in England, obviously the WSL starts next week. The under-20s winning a bronze in the World Cup. That's a major progress through the age groups, isn't it? And you'll be looking at that group of players, no doubt, thinking, can any of them break through over the next year?
Well, they will break through, because I wanted to pick 2 or 3 in this squad, but obviously they've just come back. The under-23s beat Norway on Tuesday. They drew with USA today. The pathway and the talent coming through is great. We're looking forward now to hopefully Brazil and Australia in October, Sweden and Holland hopefully in. So we've got some really big games, big crowds, and we've enjoyed it.
And that's important to you, that you really test yourselves in the build-up to France. You play the very best teams.
We've got to play the very best. Hopefully our planning now is that we're playing probably 5, 6 out the top 8. We want to test ourselves, because when we get to France, we want to know where we are, and I want to give this squad the opportunity to play. I know we've got a really strong 16, 17, but now I've got a pool of 30 and I want to give them all an opportunity, because it improves competition.
Do you believe, Phil, this England team won a bronze medal? Do you believe you can go one step further and get to that final?
I believe. I don't think the players believe at this moment in time. I still think they've got a little bit to go, but each time we meet up, we're seeing more development, more improvement, and look, Wales have took us all the way. I've got to say, normally at this stage, I mean, Laura, you have played, normally the group's wrapped up by now, so they've took us right to the wire, and it's been good for us, because we've actually felt the pressure this week. The players have the tension, and they don't come much bigger than going to the World Cup, having to play the top teams in the world.
We've enjoyed it very much, and congratulations. And we've noticed as well that you're going with the Gareth Southgate bottom done up. Is that an omen, perhaps?
Well, it worked for Gareth. Hopefully it works for me. I've got his wristband on as well. Good, thank you.
Take your superstitions
Can I go now?
all the way to France. Absolutely, go in there and celebrate with your players. Thank you so much, Phil, but don't take the microphone with you. If you could hand that back, we need it. We need those BBC budgets and all that. Nia, before Phil came along, I was talking to you about what this has done for the Welsh football, the women's Welsh football scene, in terms of bringing new talent through, girls joining up, 70% increase in participation. While tonight will feel like a very sad night for those players in there with Jane, overall it's a positive picture.
It is, but it will take a few days, maybe a few weeks for that to settle in. You can see the reactions of the players tonight. They're devastated. And for a lot of the girls in that group, Helen Ward, Jess Fishlock, Natasha Harden, this could be their last opportunity of qualifying for a major tournament. So, you know, going forward, the legacy that they've left, for me, is that it's not okay to take part. You know, we're challenging the likes of England, who, by the way, will be challenging for the overall competition, the World Cup. You know, it's not okay just to take part in these qualifying campaigns anymore and finish middle of the table.
And you can see, Laura, backing that up, the way England is celebrating now, the way that they took this they didn't come here thinking there's a gulf between us, these two countries. They've treated Wales with the respect they absolutely deserve.
Yeah.
And their celebrations now, they're euphoric.
Yeah, I think the celebrations, and rightly so, are going on now, but I think as soon as that final whistle went, I think you've seen Phil and all the England players going up to the Welsh players, shaking their hands, showing respect first, and then you can celebrate later. And I think that's ultimate credit to Wales and exactly what they've shown in this campaign. But it's also important to say that a lot of the Welsh players are playing professionally now. That will only help the game, the Welsh team, the national team, because they're all at professional clubs getting that training.
Well, let's hear from Jane Ludlow now. She is with Lindsay Hooper.
Jane, you can tell that was an emotional full-time whistle for you. How did you feel about that performance as a whole?
Yeah, look, this campaign has been absolutely fantastic from every single member of our squad, but tonight we weren't good enough, that's the reality. In the future we need to be good enough. These girls want to play at the highest level and they are capable of it, but we have to show that. You know, we've come out here to compete tonight, and for 60 minutes we have. But we have to be good enough for 90 minutes, and in the future we will be.
In terms of the way that you frustrated England, I mean, you must take something from that, especially knowing that you've still got a chance of going to France.
Yeah, look, tonight we saw glimpses of our next stage, and there is a heck of a lot of work still to do, but that next stage we're seeing it already, so the next campaign is going to be one that we're looking forward to immensely.
And was your biggest disappointment there, conceding the 2 goals so quickly next to each other?
Yeah, look, simple errors that we haven't made all the way through the campaign, but, you know, we've come up against a top nation tonight, and people can see that. At the end of the day, there's a reason why they qualify for major competitions every campaign. For us, there was hope tonight, and like I said, for 60 minutes we were really pleased with how we competed, but we have made errors and we can correct them. So, are we all glum? No. The reality is we're 29th, they're 4th. So, you know, that gulf, there were times tonight where that gulf wasn't there, but like I say, it's a 90-minute game and we have to be better.
Finally, your view on the potential penalty that you might have had, Karen Bardsley, in the...
Look, we didn't have a penalty in Russia. We had a goal not given against England. I don't moan about those, because I'm sure that if you look back through the campaign, there are times where we've been given things that maybe people have thought that we shouldn't have. So, no, they balance themselves out. We aren't going to focus on that, but we are going to focus on what we didn't get right tonight, because we have to get it right in the future.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for speaking to us.
Well, the future is looking a lot brighter, certainly, than it was a couple of years ago in terms of progress for Wales. But for England tonight is about securing that World Cup qualification. And Laura, you know, they had to get off the mark early, didn't they, England, to kind of settle any nerves. And I think you're going to get, yes, you are.
I think they're excited.
Yeah. You're in the wrong position.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a few kind of heralded hugs going on. But of course, it was Tony Duggan who got them going.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the girls knew that they had to come up and step it up and take it to another level. But I think we can see here, I think Wales was so narrow. We used the wide spaces well. I feel like there was more composure in the 18-yard box. We knew that Wales were vulnerable from crosses. A bit of composure, a good cross into the box. Jodie Taylor, again, puts her body on the line. She knows that she's going to get clattered by the keeper. And we've seen Tony Duggan score from this position time and time again. So composed, finding that opposite bottom corner.
For me, in the first half, Lucy Bronze would have crossed that first time and it would probably come to nothing. But actually, she settles down, she looks at the picture, she sets it, and then the whip cross comes in. And as you could see, when Wales are getting tired, they started to ball watch a little bit, and that was the difference in the second half.
And the mistakes were creeping in then, weren't they? And it was just much more difficult for Wales to get their composure back after that.
You could see, because they haven't been in that position all qualifying campaign. What is the first goal that they actually conceded? How were they going to react from that?
They haven't experienced it.
And it was hard. You were waiting for that reaction, but then actually England was stepping it up. They got that goal, they got the belief, and they were going. And it's moments in games, isn't it, that you feel it and they need to take their opportunity, and they went on and scored again.
And of course that came from Laura O'Sullivan, who's been fantastic, making another great save from Steph Houghton. But that, of course, then led to the corner, which led to the second goal. And, you know, it's hard, isn't it, when the momentum is now so firmly swung the other way, Alex?
And it is. Set pieces are so vital in games. And it was from the corner, and Jill Scott, who was outstanding today, that real leader that drove this team on to generate the power that she does, get over the keeper and score. It was great time for England.
For me as well, Wales are a little bit slow to get out, and that ball goes backwards. I'd like to see, you know, Sophie Ingle really commanding her backline to get out as quickly as we can, but they leave a really dangerous aerial player in Jill Scott free.
I think Jill Scott really doesn't get credit. For me, I would pick her time and time again in this England team. Not just their aerial threat, she's so unselfish and does that extra running for the team, and technical. We saw that nutmeg in the first half. She brings you so much energy to this team.
Nikita Parris also impressed tonight, you know, using her speed, not always getting the ball that she wanted in the first half, but getting the goal that sealed the deal, Laura.
Again, we see Alex Greenwood put a great cross in. She really troubles Laura O'Sullivan with this kind of ball. And Nikita Parris, she bides her time. She's got that natural instinct as a goal scorer. And you see she's just dying to get that ball across the line. She puts it, she's really good with her head, actually, and she'll dive in front of anything. But it's a good flick on by Jodie Taylor. And Nikita, she'll dive and put her body on the line and get it across the line. And she's done so well there to get in front of the defender.
I love Keats when she scores and celebrates. You can just see the passion in her face, and that's what you want to see.
And she did make some great runs, didn't she, using her pace? One of the quickest in the team, you were saying, Alex.
Yeah, and in the first half, it seemed like she was coming more in field and allowing that space for Lucy. But in the second half, they mixed it, and that's what you need, because then as a defender, you don't know which player to mark, and they really worked well together, and I see that as a blossoming partnership going forward.
OK, well, Lindsay Hooper has caught up with the score of the second goal, Jill Scott.
Jill, your reaction to that result tonight and the fact that you're at another World Cup?
Yeah, just really happy. Today was all about getting the win and ensuring that we got that World Cup spot, and yeah, just a bit of relief, I think, that obviously we won, and it means that we're going to the World Cup now.
we can now, on reflection that you've won 3-0, be able to reflect on that first offside goal from Nikita Paris. I mean, it looked like it possibly was onside.
Yeah, I really didn't think it was offside in the moment, but then I think the girls showed great character just to get on with the game. We knew what we had to do. I didn't think that we dwelled on it, and we came out second half and started to play a lot better football, and then got rewarded with the goals.
And it must have been even more pleasing then to see her get on the score sheet.
Yeah, I think Nikita deserved a goal today. I think she worked really hard, and it was a really brave finish at the end to go in with her head, and yeah, I was really happy for her to score.
And things to take from this performance and the way that Wales really tested you, made you play to go into the next game.
Yeah, Wales played really well, and I think they made us bring out a different side of our game. We had to be strong in the tackle, we had to be angry, and I think we showed that side of our game today. So now we know that we can fight and we can play, and that's going to be important when we play against teams in the World Cup.
Brilliant. Thank you very much and congratulations. Enjoy the dressing room celebration.
Thank you. Thanks.
Jill Scott has been around the England scene for, it feels like, such a long time, and yet evergreen, you know, so fresh tonight and playing so well. Looking forward to another exciting season for her for Manchester City. This is such a competitive time, isn't it?
It really
this
is.
England squad.
But like I said, she brings so many different dimensions. She's so unselfish. And actually, as you can see from that interview, it's like it's just a relief that they managed to get over the line, win and qualify, and then they can celebrate after. But you can just see when the expectations for this England team, because the expectations are on them now, they qualify for major tournaments and they do well on the final stage. So you can just see the relief in her face, and maybe the celebrations and the smiles will come afterwards.
Well, you know, the bronze, obviously, from 2015, trying to progress up, you know, up to finals, which is the next stage, isn't it? You know, getting to a final has to be the goal. Phil Neville said he wants to win the World Cup. They have to get into that final first to win it, but it's realistic now, isn't it? That kind of aspiration.
Yeah, exactly. Like Alex was saying, it's the expectation now of the fans, of people involved, the whole clubs. And I think also it was brilliant that Phil mentioned that it's what you do from now until the World Cup. You need to play against those top teams, Brazil, Australia. We haven't played Australia for many, many years, but you need to know exactly what you're up against. And for England to do that in the She Believes as well next year will only stand them in good stead. It's the preparation. But it's so exciting for all WSL English players now. They can go perform, and they know there's a manager there waiting to be impressed.
Brazil and Australia, you can press against them. They could be the next two friendlies for England. Of course, they've got Kazakhstan on Tuesday night. Let's not forget to seal up this qualification. That'll be on the red button for you. But of course, Scotland were in action last night. They knew they needed to win by 2 goals. So in the end, 2 clear goals. It was a mixed night for them.
I want to raise my hand sometimes. I want to do my thing sometimes.
Oh, Eric Kirkman, what a start for Scotland! Twisting and turning gets the shot away. It's taken a deflection, and Scotland are 2 up. Would you believe? Can Scotland defend it? Shots comes in, and Dickerman has pulled one back for Switzerland. But it's bittersweet for Scotland tonight. It's finished Scotland 2, Switzerland 1.
I thought we started the game magnificent, and we had some real big performers tonight. You know, we've just went and beat a really good Swiss team, so I think the players should be really proud of their performance.
I thought we were absolutely outstanding tonight. We've got everything to be proud of. We've just beat a nation very much ranked above ourselves, so we've played every single person, played like they were Scottish tonight. We played out our skins.
We've always set out to entertain, and I thought we'd done that again tonight. I think, you know, a record crowd here, and you know, they certainly performed for the crowd as well, but you know, there was good performances all over the pitch, and you know, we threw everything at Switzerland latterly in the game, and just that extra goal, you know, eluded us. But it's not all over. You know, they've got Poland away, which will be a real tough game for them.
I think, you know, we just need to sit back. We've done all we can. Yes, it would have been great to score another goal and obviously be the one and be the team in control, but that's not the way it is, and I think we just need to go into Tuesday, you know, hoping that the things go our way.
Well, frustrating for Scotland not to be able to wrap it all up last night, and they will now have to hope that results elsewhere go their way. They're away in Albania, Switzerland are away in Poland, and if things don't go their way entirely, then they'll be hoping that they get a best second place position and get into those playoffs. And on the performances they've produced so far, they deserve to be there.
They do, and it shows the standard of women's football. You know, the likes of Scotland not, you know, maybe not going to a major tournament. Wales have gone a whole campaign apart from 1 game unbeaten. They hadn't conceded a goal in 11 hours. To still not be in with a shot of even a playoff just shows, you know, the standard of the Women's World Cup now.
And then even though I'm standing here, obviously I'm super proud England have just qualified for a World Cup. But I do just want to say that, you know, we need to give this Welsh team credit. How they equipped themselves and what they showed. They shouldn't be tears out there because they should be so proud of what they've done to come this far.
Well, let's have a look then at the teams that have qualified so far for this World Cup. And there is another round of matches to go that could change things and add names, of course. But these are the teams that are definitely there. It'll be 24 in total. And you can see, obviously, Australia, one of England's coming up friendlies, will be an interesting test. The big names that you'd expect there. Thailand also on the list so far, another team that have really progressed over the last few years. And, you know, it's exciting when you see those big names that England have got to get past those names to win a World Cup. You know, you remind yourself that you're kind of stepping out of the European bubble, Alex.
I think, Bash, you're going to come out of retirement.
I think that shows, though, as well, how difficult it is to actually qualify in Europe. It is now. We're still waiting for tomorrow, Germany, Iceland, that big crunch game. So I think it's really difficult. All those names, you know, are in different nations. So it's just so difficult. And that's why it's getting even more difficult for England, Wales, Scotland.
Well, there is a plethora of football on the BBC this weekend. And tomorrow on Football Focus, there'll be another England star on show.
Deli, the first thing I need to ask you is your hand challenge. Yeah. I watched the tutorial, is that right?
That is right, yeah.
Yeah, can you see
You did better than me.
Yes. But the second one, how? I don't understand. Explain.
No,
Teach me the
I don't want
second
to
one.
teach people because it's funnier to watch, like, just try and do it and...
You've got to have double-jointed fingers, don't you?
No.
You do?
You don't. Well, for the second one, I haven't got double-jointed fingers. Maybe I have. No, it's not that. It's this.
Got it.
Well, you can see if Caroline Demorosh and Deli Ali managed to crack it, or Deli's cracked it, obviously, but if Caroline gets there tomorrow, that's on Football Focus at midday on BBC One. Final scores on BBC One at 2:30, and Match of the Day with Keown and Shearer in the hot seats at 10:20. And the NFL show is back, 11:45, right after Match of the Day for you. Go on, quickly, before we go off air. You did it then, just a second ago. Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Wales might not have got through tonight, but that you've restored some faith.
Consolation.
Because Alex is not going for it there, are you? Final thoughts, Alex, on the campaign and that performance for England tonight.
It's great. It shows how far the women's game is growing for Wales to close the gap. But for England going forward, I think they need to work on their final third play.
Where do you think England have got to work in the next 9-10 months to get themselves into a really strong position for France?
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think we need to shore up on the counter-attack. Teams are going to do their homework on England and know that they might be vulnerable. They might possess the ball a lot and have attacking threats, but also we need to just shore up that counter-attack so we don't get exposed.
And Nia, briefly, highlights for you from this campaign for Wales?
I definitely think the 3-0 win against Russia, I think because we knew how well we were defensively, that game actually showed, you know what, we can counter-attack, we have got pace and power up front. We scored 3 fantastic goals against a team ranked much higher than us, so lots of positives.
Lots of positives. Nia, thank you. Alex and Laura as well, so commiserations to Wales. But England are going to the World Cup finals next summer in France. Congratulations to them and Phil Neville. Allez la France.
Wales 90 minutes away from her first ever finals. Greenwood again gets the shot, it's deflected off the bar and in, it won't count, it's offside. Harrod James with the shot.
Penalty Wales, is it? No, goal kick. 30 square, back at 1-0 England, the deadlock is broken.
Jill Scott with the header.
England have a second. It's in. I think Paris has got the last touch.
England have reached the World Cup finals